Good evening, everybody. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim, and today is Truth Tuesday. I am the original thinker behind the defunding program, so I want to defend it right now. We've got Republicans in the room wondering, how can you defund the police? Well, if you had a president who had some balls, you'd replace the police with National Guard if they didn't accept the sensitivity training. It's a simple process where we actually give people an opportunity at the municipal level to train cops in a way that we'd prescribe sensitivity training. If they don't do that, they don't get any money. That's simple. Today, we have a plan here that it's just unbelievable. We've uncovered the truth about Barack Obama and his lineage. We played a video earlier that describes his connections to the very wealthiest people in the world. And his father, Lolo Soetoro, his adopted father, apparently was one of the 15 richest men in the world. And now Barack Obama is an inheritor of that money. But when we go to Barack Obama's net worth, we don't see that. So we've got interesting new information about Barack Obama tying to his mother to the CIA money laundering in Indonesia. Obama has a net worth of what? Yeah, what is his net worth? I'm still looking for that here. $70 million he made off the White House. He's got even more money than that. That's pretty weird that he'd make $70 million in a short period of time, isn't it? But it turns out that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, as seen here as Michael LaVaughn Robinson, were part of the Rich Kid Club. Yeah, late breaking news, right? The Rich Kid Club back then was hanging around, you know who, Bill Gates, the guy who had his entire life handed to him on a platter when his dad, who was friends with the Rockefellers, made a deal with IBM and got a connection for his son to get a bootleg copy of QDOS and sell it as his own. And he made $90 million off the top. So Bill Gates was one of those protected children along with Barack Obama. He was a very rich kid of Lolo Soetoro. We didn't know how much money Lolo Soetoro had made. He was a money launderer, an Indonesian torturer, Lolo was. Oh yeah, very dark past. And then Michael LaVaughn Robinson was when they met, he was a running back at Oregon State University, Michael was. And he became Michelle, a transgender. Now, these things are like shockers to a lot of people. And I, as a former Democrat, I'm glad I left the Democratic Party when I did, because this is when the real evil started roosting in the Democratic Party. But now we've got total collusion among people that have been working on a plan to push vaccinations, dangerous vaccinations into the population at such an alarming rate that one woman, Judy Mikovits, says that, and I can't play the video because they'll kick me off YouTube if I do. We just played it. But Judy Mikovits just said, this woman
vaccines,
right here.
Right, they're pushing Dr. Fauci first dose.
That woman right there has been very vocal. And she just said that there are so many contaminated vaccines out there in the past 20 years or 15 years that 50 million people are going to die this fall because of the vaccines. I see old people walking around like walking corpses in my area. I do. They're like the blue hair people, right? And they're people that they believe that taking the flu shot was the right thing to do every year. Well, every time they got a flu shot, Judy's saying that they got 6% of them got AIDS to start with. Most of the flu shots were contaminated with viruses that cause cancer, like the human embryonic kidney cell, HT293. Yeah, or HK, hang on just a second. It's the HEK293 T cell that's in all of these things that presents the SV40 antigen, which is the thing that causes cancer. So every one of our vaccines that we've been pushing in America, which ironically came from Barack Obama when he and Jim Talent put together the avian flu vaccines, then they morphed them into the swine flu vaccines. Oh, they're still the same vaccines. They just put a new label on them. Seriously. They're trying to push dangerous chemicals and cancer-causing human embryonic kidney cells, aborted fetus cells in our body. And that's why Judy said, yeah, this is serious. And that's why it connects to Bill Gates. And that's why this picture is so significant. How the hell did these people know each other in 1981? You tell me. unless they're all part of this big plan. The New World Order takeover and depopulation of the American people. We are on a very interesting quest. When I entered this idea of a third party in 2008, I was pretty green around the ears, around the collar in some ways. I just knew in my heart that elitists had taken over the Democratic Party. I knew that they don't want democracy. They want people to shut up. They even told me at the Democratic Club meeting to shut up. They said, shut up. I said, this isn't democracy. Well, we're not Democrat. Well, the bottom line is, anyone who speaks out in the Democratic Party is shunned. And they only want people who are controlled. And God knows what leverage they have over these people, but they control them. Bill Gates won't talk about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. 6 times he went over there after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on child trafficking charges. What's with that? But then we've got a president right now that's equally as demented and has made statements that are absolutely over the top. Our president is also part of the New World Order because he's being controlled on the opposite end from Russian oligarchs who are making him right now act like it's perfectly normal to have riots in our cities. Has Donald Trump said anything about the dangers of having riots in every city? Has he made any effort at all? Well, we're going to listen to Donald Trump in a few minutes talk about his new policing plan, which doesn't include sensitivity training like I'm suggesting. He's actually arming them up even more. But yet, that's all rhetoric. He's not actually doing anything. The National Guard is not being deployed in Seattle, nor is it being deployed in Portland right now, and it needs to be. We need authority to stop this before it gets out of hand. They're literally letting anarchy breed in American cities right now. And watch what he said, Donald Trump, when he made this statement. You tell me what it means.
Right now, in a number of states, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change.
What the hell? He doesn't even realize that the children gestate for 9 months in their mother's womb. He doesn't even realize that. That's what an idiot he is. So what is he going to do? Purposely pull out women's babies at 8 months with cesarean? What the hell? This guy is lost. So you're listening to a man who has no clue as to what's going on and is definitely as demented as Joe Biden. Now, you Democrats ought to be ashamed of yourself putting an old man who babbles in front of the American people and claiming he's a good candidate. It shows your weakness as a group. In fact, this recent display of white guilt is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Men and women bending down, even a police lieutenant in New York, bending down at the knee to black people who simply say they need more, they want more. And you don't realize that black people actually see this as a sign of weakness. You don't get that. The entire Democratic Party has become the bitch for the black people in America. And without even understanding what racism is, these people have engaged in racism against their own people, white people. Now, you've got to understand, we don't owe anybody anything. There's no need for reparations. We have a fairly equalized society, even though the minorities who live in ghettos can't get out of that situation, which is a serious problem. There is an avenue where they can do well on tests and go through the college routine and get ahead. It's called affirmative action. And it's the same thing that destroyed my future and my opportunities because I'm white. I couldn't get scholarships. I couldn't get into colleges I wanted to get into. Not that I wasn't the best student. I was the #1 student in my high school class of 770 students. I couldn't get into Princeton and Stanford and Yale and Harvard. They wouldn't have let me in because I'm white. Now that alone is prejudice. That's judging me on the color of my skin, not the content of my character. Now let's get back to the reality that we should all have an opportunity, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, to get a decent education. We should also have cities that offer opportunities for people to get involved, get a job, that are not just quagmires of hellhole frustration. And what we're seeing with Trump is every city is descending into anarchy right now. No new opportunities, no new growth in America, just a lot of BS. And boy, is it flying on the stock market. Right now, the Dow Jones is still ripping forward at up 526 points today. People are wondering, how come the stock market is doing so well? Well, I'll tell you something. Since you got imprisoned in your own life and got stuck in your own house and forced to not have a job, the richest people in the world, all 7 of these top billionaires, have made nearly $600 billion off of the stock market. There's only a few people playing big time in the stock market, and they are bringing in big bucks off the backs of average people and 401ks. They are sucking it in right now. And if you're one of those people that's enjoying the wealth, it's short-lived. I really believe they're playing the market big time. It's like a fiddle. I don't believe Dave Chappelle did a good episode. No. When was it? Oh, it's before he was replaced? Oh yeah, Dave Chappelle was the funniest guy ever before he was replaced with this guy who doesn't even look like Dave Chappelle. Yeah, this guy who is currently out there, he's not Dave Chappelle. Even his own cousin said, I don't even know him. She doesn't even know the guy. He dissed all his family members when he came back from Africa, and he looked different. He completely looked different. So if you think he's still alive, that's great. I'm glad that you... But I think Dave Chappelle was replaced. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but if a person doesn't look like the guy or sound like the guy, he probably isn't the guy. Speaking of that, there's a lot of people concerned about the George Floyd shooting. Excuse me, George Floyd killing. Yeah, that's I've talked about it a lot. I know from looking at a couple pictures in front of me that something's not right here. One, the gurney picture. It's being carried off by sheriffs, not by actually an EMT. Sheriffs moved this body, whatever this body is. This body doesn't have any legs either. You notice how the hand, it goes down, it slopes down. There's no legs here. There's another strange quality about this that you're not gonna notice in a second. There's no legs here. There's also no tattoo here. All right? Very strange. Now take a look at this picture. You notice that this guy has a hairline up here? You can clearly see his hairline. I'm not trying to, minimize the fact that he has hair. There's a little bit of hair up there. You can see it right there. It's very plain as clear. How come it's not here? Now, the difference is the government has not released any information as to why this man was pulled off the street right here, brought into a car, the car drives across the other side of the street, and then somehow this guy pops out right here. Now, he may have done a cameo on one shot where he's saying, I can't breathe, and then they take this guy who's a body dummy and use this body dummy as the source of George Floyd. So this whole entire thing is Masonic theater. George Floyd was a Masonic gang member in the he was part of the Young Risk Takers, a group of Masons that decide that they'll do whatever it takes to make money. Yeah, and the Masons have a lot of money, right? They do. And they're going to pay off anybody who's willing to do a little acting and make money in the long run. I wouldn't doubt that George Floyd is alive right now and hanging out with his family members behind closed doors in some remote location around the world. Now, because we have a lot of morons in our show who can't see a bald head from a person with a little bit of hair on it, they can't understand what's right in front of them. Many of you don't have any critical thinking ability. Many of you have lost your ability to actually see the truth. If I show you a picture of Barack Obama's birth certificate from Mombasa, Kenya, you'll say it's a fake, even though it's registered in the coastland. This is part of the affiliated area of Kenya where he was born. This is from August 4th, 1961. Obama was born in Coast General Hospital. Stanley Ann Obama, formerly Dunham. This is a real birth certificate. It's a hell of a lot more real than the long form birth certificate that had all kinds of wavy lines in it and Photoshop entries. There's no evidence of Photoshopping in this whatsoever. But the long form birth certificate that Barack Obama, the Rockefeller plant, New World Order puppet plant, that had false information on it. That long-form birth certificate, by the way, was scrutinized by a few experts. I had an interview with Doug Vogt, an expert here in Seattle, and he said that that was definitely a binary and a halftone image at the same time with that long-form birth certificate. So here is the original birth certificate of Barack Obama, the Kenyan, who took our country for a ride for 8 years and cost us $300 billion a year more on Obamacare. A man who's been implementing a strategy to COVID test ID and force vaccinate the entire population, along with Bill Gates. And Trump is in on it too. Now, if Trump is going to say anything right now, it would be no forced vaccinations. Let's get back to normal. But he hasn't said no forced vaccinations, and neither has Joe Biden. He hasn't said those words. But I have. I promise you, I will not force vaccinate anybody in America, and I will not force test anybody in America. That's a huge thing. If you really value that, you'll realize that these scumbags like Biden and Trump won't make that commitment because they're apologetic to their handlers, the people that control them, the people that want a new world order, the people that want to depopulate this world. You'll realize it like I did, that we need to unite, that we have to find a common ground. And you know, I have found a common ground. I have. I've rested on the most important things that I feel are right in front of me. Our Constitution. I didn't realize it when I started this effort as a third party. I knew I was in the center of the political spectrum, but I didn't realize that I was going to be holding on to our Constitution like a life raft. I had no idea that would happen. That's right. Kenya was not an independent country in that era, and there's no evidence that that picture was from Kenya. It's the district of Mombasa. The country was Zanzibar, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, it was not Kenya at the time. But that doesn't dispute the fact that he has a birth certificate from the district of Mombasa. Why don't you grow a brain cell? I really don't need anybody in here who has such limited intelligence, okay? Thanks. Yes, I have unhushed KY Poopy. I just can't do it when he's not in the room. I told you that. Yeah, I told you I would unhush him. But they wouldn't do it as long as he's not in the room. Or trying to get in the room. There you go. You're unhushed. You can come on back as KY Poopy. Just don't threaten my life again. All right? If you try to do that, I will never, ever do this again. And don't spam the room with garbage, and treat our room respectfully. If you think this is a joke, you'll never get unhushed again. Yeah, 2003, Chappelle did a great show on reparations, the real Chappelle. Well, all I'm saying is don't do that. Don't do that to me ever. Don't ever threaten my life. Now, as you know, Dave Chappelle has been the original Dave Chappelle, not the fake guy. He's been very upfront about his anti-establishment views, whereas this current Dave Chappelle is more like an establishment suck-up, like Alex Jones. He looks like a shill for Alex Jones, the new one, but this one's he's good.
Our top story, as we all know, Congress recently approved paying over $1 trillion to African Americans as reparations for slavery. Well, today the first checks were sent out. Wendy Mullen is standing by live in Queens with more. Wendy.
Thanks, Chuck.
That's all I can play right now because the Dave Chappelle Comedy Central show will try to monetize me if I play more than about 12 seconds of that. Yeah, they want in on the money. Okay, full video, Trump on anti-abortion rally. Let's take a look. No, I want to hear specifically what he said. I'll look at it later. Yeah, I can't be wasting my time with that right now. Sorry. Here's his full-throated defense of police and executive action. Now, this is Donald Trump saying it's perfectly okay to use force like they did against Mr. Brooks in Atlanta. Okay.
It's about pursuing common sense and fighting for a cause like we seldom get the chance to fight for. We have to find common ground. but I strongly oppose the radical and dangerous efforts to defend, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments, especially now when we've achieved the lowest recorded crime rates in recent history. Americans know the truth. Without police, there is chaos. Without law, there is anarchy. And without safety, there is catastrophe. We need leaders at every level of government who have the moral clarity to state.
Okay, he's in his earpiece mode where they tell him these things. I'm gonna pretend like you can hear it now. Here we go. This is Donald Trump getting information in 5-word segments from an earpiece. This is exactly what Barack Obama did. I'm not going to allow anybody to come in here under that name and run for president. Sorry. No, I've rescinded my statement of hushing him. He's already violated my agreement.
Doing common sense and fighting for a cause like we seldom get the chance to fight for. We have to find common ground. But I strongly oppose the radical and dangerous efforts to defend, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments, especially now when we've achieved the lowest recorded crime rates in recent history. Americans know the truth. Without police, there is chaos. Without law, there is anarchy. And without safety, there is catastrophe.
He gets these from his without anarchy, safety, without...
Need leaders that are...
He's living in a state of anarchy. This man has not even sent the National Guard into 4 major cities that are right now currently in riot state. This man has a paper ass.
Every level of government who have the moral clarity to...
I wouldn't doubt he's right now having to have his diapers changed.
State these obvious facts. Americans believe we must support the brave men and women in blue who police our streets and keep us safe. Americans also believe we must improve accountability.
Oh, come on. Here's a guy who calls the National Guard because he had a group of protesters out in front of his house, the White House. He actually ordered what appeared to be tear gas. Turns out it's some sort of a pepper spray they sprayed, and rubber bullets on a crowd of innocent protesters. So much so that his own Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, decides that he's not going to honor Donald Trump's request to re-engage the Insurrection Act. Yeah. So he didn't even want to, he couldn't even get his Secretary of Defense to sign on to his program. He never could use the National Guard as a prop, but he did. Much like a little boy crying wolf in a theater, Donald Trump is engaged in what is apparently a waste of time. There's nothing in the Constitution that would stop Trump from declaring martial law. There is. He doesn't have 3 riots going on simultaneously, and he hasn't deployed the National Guard. He has to deploy the National Guard and quell 3 riots simultaneously. I probably would have declared martial law at a certain point if it continues to get worse. I would have done that. And the president would have 6 months to respond to that. I would have if it got worse. But if he nipped it in the bud and put the National Guard in place right now, we wouldn't have a need to have 3 riots in America. Right now we've got a herd of people roaming around the city of Portland, Oregon, like a group of walking dead zombies. See if anything's happening in Portland right now. You need to go to the doctor if you haven't pooped in a week. That's serious, man. Okay, he's down. Let's go to the other feed, see if that's up. Nope, it's down. Okay, great. So apparently the rioting has stopped in Portland, but we watched it all last night. Okay, first of all, Donald Trump, I'm not going to play more of his absolutely mindless approach. He has not called out George Soros as the source of the Antifa groups. Okay? He hasn't mentioned George Soros at all, ever, except to say, don't say bad things about George Soros, he said publicly in 2016. He hasn't said that he's going to investigate the bricks that were in the various cities that went through all the thousands of business windows. And we know for a fact that there have been bricks battered all across the country, positioned in place by the Acme Brick Company. Who owns the Acme Brick Company? It's owned by a parent company, Berkshire Hathaway. Who's on the board of Berkshire Hathaway? George Soros, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. Donald Trump didn't even intercept that. Now I'm going to show you a clip that is pretty interesting. This happened a couple weeks ago, but DC police were sending officers dressed like Antifa into the protest. And when confronted, they claimed he was in the CNN staff. Watch this.
As a protester? As a protester? As a cop? Journalist. As a journalist. I saw you just getting out of a police truck. That's not a police truck. That's not a police truck? No. Nope. Who are you with? With what? CNN. Oh, okay. Who are you with? Myself? Yeah. Were you protesting today, or? Yeah. Okay, cool. How'd it go for you? Pretty good. All right, let's go see if this is CNN.
He's going to walk over to the police truck and see if it's CNN. Because that guy just said he's from that truck. That truck's a DC cop posing as Antifa. They wanted the riots to start. They want anarchy in America, and that's why Donald Trump isn't pushing National Guard into cities like Portland or Seattle right now. He's not showing a strong hand, he's showing a weak hand.
Hey, is that the protest that way? Yes, sir. Who are you guys with? Just hanging out. Are you cops? No. You're not? No. You seem like cops. No, thank you. Are you CNN? We're just hanging out. You're not, are you CNN? We're just hanging out. Your friend just told me you were CNN. Oh, okay. But you're not, so he lied to me. The guy who just got out of here and was dressed like a protester. I'm just a guy. I'm a DC resident. My name's Max. So you're undercover cops and you're sending people into the protests who are dressed like protesters, and he's lying to me and telling me he's a journalist, which is very bad for the journalistic profession, I would say. Okay, so those are cops, and you got a guy who just got out and said he was with CNN. So basically he's putting all reporters in danger. He was dressed as a protester, basically dressed like, Black Bloc style. These guys are straight up cops.
Yep, exactly. So this guy's been outing this guy Matthew outed them in that area, but we saw Acme Bricks put out all these bricks in every city, and factcheck.org, the completely controlled lying crock of crap internet website run by the Annenberg Foundation, a liberal think tank. Yeah. Factcheck.org claimed that, oh no, none of those bricks were used in the riots, and they were all there for a purpose. They were all there for construction. But they didn't present any evidence whatsoever that the bricks were there for construction. Not one work order, not one posting, nothing. So our government is willfully ignoring the fact that they put bricks so that Antifa members who got money from George Soros could get the George Soros bricks and the Bill Gates bricks and throw them through all the windows and stuff. So the government is trying to manufacture anarchy. And that's the process that we're trying to figure out, why they're doing that. And the reason why they want to do that is so they could justify martial law. Now, had we nipped this in the bud early, we never would have had 3 potential riots forming in various cities. But what they're going to try to do is kind of work this into a flame and get a fire going. I'm done with you too. We're going to go ahead and remove you from the show, Ogre. You're now no longer allowed in the show. Goodbye. Thank you. All right, so now we've got other issues that are happening, which really raises the bar of concern that our president is simply putting together a plan to break up our nation. Well, we already heard him say he was very happy to be our president. And he's so glad that to be our president, but it's like he gave up the presidency a couple months ago. What is he doing now really is beyond me. Not one single police department used the LRAD unit to break up the riots. The LRAD unit is something that every police department has and nobody's using. Why aren't they using it?
By order of the City of Pittsburgh Chief Police, I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.
It worked great in '09. Remember the peaceful rally at the WTO, or actually I think it was the G7 forming in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they had a big rally, and the LRAD unit worked great. It dispersed the crowds. How come Seattle's not using it? Thank you, Chief 57. Yeah, so if we are now dealing with this lack of police activity, lack of National Guard called in a timely manner, no brick investigation whatsoever, a budget for 1,000 bricks can run as little as $340 or up to $850. One pallet of brick contains 510 pieces and charge anywhere from $500 to $600. Okay, for 1,000. All right, whatever. The Ninja Turtle came and left. We no longer. We have here a really beautiful biodome that I was imagining myself in, and I could only imagine how wonderful that would be if it was in fact safe, but it's not. It's got a plastic exterior. It could easily be penetrated by UV light and all of its. I mean, it looks nice though. It's pretty. You can buy these for about $1,000 online. Have a little biodome in your backyard. It'd be kind of cool. Like the Bubble Boy, yeah. This is the Bubble Woman, and she's enjoying a beautiful, luxurious memory foam mattress with reading a book, wondering who her boyfriend could be. But our world is drastically changing because Donald Trump is letting it collapse. And what really troubles me is how you support him, even though he's not promoting sensitivity training for officers. He's not making any concessions at all. How is that a step in the right direction? I can see how Donald Trump has crafted this with Jared's help. Jared is an idiot. Jared is a cuckold, according to Steve Bannon. Jared Kushner is the weakest person in Donald Trump's capacity as his administration.
Ability, increase transparency, and invest more resources in police training, recruiting, and community engagement.
So he's saying he's going to be more transparent when he's less. He's saying he's going to increase funding for more training and more officers, but is he going to actually make them sensitive to the situation? And does he have a shoot to maim policy like I do that would have prevented the unnecessary killing of Mr. Brooks? Rayshard has suffered a terrible loss of life. His family has received a terrible loss, and their father can't come home to their birthday parties. I can only imagine what the kids must have felt. And you notice everybody in Rayshard's family was crying. I mean, real tears, not the ones with George Floyd's family, which, how do you cry over a medical dummy dying, right?
Reducing crime and raising standards are not opposite goals. They are not mutually exclusive. They work together. They all work together. That is why today I'm signing an executive order encouraging police departments nationwide to adopt the highest professional standards to serve their communities.
Meaning nothing. Nothing. There's no teeth. There's no meaning, or there's no substance in any of these lies that he's spitting. Anyway, I'm going to back out of this and let you guys hang out with Sarah in the other room. Yeah, obey the law, people. Stop looting. That's the starting point right there. And don't think you can take advantage of everybody. I wouldn't know, Misanthropy, but Steve Bannon called Jared Kushner a cuckold, whatever that means. All right. Why not? Because you're going to get arrested. Now, Donald Trump has not even stated that St. Louis rioters and Washington, D.C. rioters were already released into the population without even getting charged. Same with looters in Chicago. Nobody's being charged. Isn't it weird that they're sending everybody back into the streets now after no charges?
They're not charging them?
No.
Okay. Did you open up Twitch or Are you on broadcasting on Twitch?
Yes, we are. The Dow Jones went up 526 points on Donald Trump's promise of transparency. Boy, I mean, promising transparency is not being transparent. That's for sure. To claim it is ridiculous. Donald Trump has been the least transparent president. I got it. The least transparent president of anyone in history. Donald Trump has been less transparent. Yet he claims he's offering transparency. This is hilarious. So apparently Donald Trump can stand and lie to the American people all the time and get away with it, and we all believe him. Wow.
Should I close out of this one? I wonder if I close out of this, I'll still, there we go. Yeah, I think it's fine. All right. Oh, I don't think you saw that, Joe Buzz Rum. Only 50,000? How specifically will that 50,000 be used? 538. Oh, Linux Audio, interesting. All right. How is everybody today? I have 2 more meetings with students. Then it's summer. I'm kind of excited. I know you don't really care about that, but I do. And I'm on screen, so oh well. And you're okay, I guess. I'm glad you're tolerable. Good. And then good, so Saudi's good. And then, oh, what else was I going to say? Oh, I had to call all of my families just to see, like, tell them a few things about the summer and tell them, like, face shields will be required when school comes, or really to ask them if they're planning to send their kids back to school in person. And everybody's like, yes. Like, even though this district has like said they will have a virtual academy for families who are like would be probably anxious and don't want to send their kids back, all of the families I talk to are like, I'm totally want to send my kids back in person to in-person classes. Is it thou shalt not covet another person's wife? I don't know the 5th commandment exactly. I know the best commandment is love. Just really all the commandments, it comes down to love. Love your neighbor, love yourself, well, love your God. Just love. Love, love, love. You literally don't know what day it is anymore. 294. Today is, oh goodness. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. Your kids drive you crazy? Wait, you don't even have kids? Yes, exactly, Misanthropy. They're really like, Misanthropy said, oh, you mean you're to interpret it as, I'm really tired of my kids being home. They said that a couple of them said we liked at least having the Google Classroom or the classroom, yeah, Google Classroom, because it gave them some structure. No one believes in the plandemic. I know a lot of people in this chat room don't. I believe that I'm one of those better safe than sorry people, which I know there's people in the chat room that don't like people like that either, but whatever. Sure you did. Hello, Bob. Oh, if you're even there, over at DLive. And I go through DLive, Twitch, and Periscope to see if anyone chats over there, but I know, isn't love, if you just love everyone, if you just live your life full of love, then you automatically fulfill all of the commandments. Because if you loved your neighbor, you wouldn't covet them. If you loved your, if you loved your God, then yeah, exactly. Sarah, better safe than sorry is how this entire mess happened. Whatever. Actually, not necessarily true, because if it if people were wearing masks and not beating up people who were trying to wear a mask when this first came out in China, then people in the US were like, oh, anyone that wears a mask is sick and needs to be beaten up. Like, actually, people allowed people to wear masks at the beginning and didn't ostracize people for wearing masks went at the beginning or any time, then I don't think it would have been a problem. Whatever kind of love works for you, Venus. All right, thanks for letting me know. 2944. Well, for you say masks are a waste of time. I personally think that they're not a waste of time, but especially because even I believe that wearing a mask can prevent me from getting like the common cold. Even if you don't believe in coronavirus, I think that it can prevent me from getting a common cold from other people that are sick around me. And so, but there's like, if I wanted to wear a mask during cold and flu season before this, I was like, no, you can't wear a mask. Either stay home if you become sick, but you're around sick kids all day, but you can't wear a mask. And now it's gone completely opposite to where Washington State is like, you have to wear a mask if you're going to be in the school system. Wow, 2944 says, people think they're so smart, you hate them so much. You sound like misanthropy. A misanthrope. Where do you live? Like Eugene, Oregon, Final Dream? I was one that, maybe I didn't voice it, but I didn't think they're trying to kill us all. Now, of course, David voices that for 5 people, but okay, sorry, 2944. You're just another person who doesn't like people, though. Okay. I got it. Well, I think you already kind of revealed your location. You say you live in one of the whitest towns in the country. Never mind. It is a pretty decent clue. Yeah, I thought it was real, and the conspiracy theorists at the beginning thought they were trying to kill us all, and both of them you think were both wrong. You're the only one with a sane approach. You convinced everyone it was happening for other reasons. Control. To see if they can get everyone to wear a mask, because the people they can get to wear a mask, then they know what they can mind control. Odin, you're absolutely right. It's easy to love nice people. It's loving difficult people is what we need to work at. Just like it's easy to accept free speech if you agree with it, but it's the free speech with which we disagree that we need to actually defend the most. It causes us to question, why do we disagree with it, and create a logical argument for why we disagree with it in order to convince the people with whom we disagree. But maybe we won't ever convince them. You own Clorox shares since they were around 54 and now they're around 200. That's good. I never did buy any Clorox shares or anything like that. Wow. Amazon was 300 at the time. Now it's 2,600. I have not looked at my stocks. Like, I consider a retirement investment, so I'm like, I'll just leave it, and I don't want to really look at it right now. Top Gun 2 Maverick has been shot down. It was going to be released in July, but now it's not being released until December. And Coming to America Part 2 is coming out at the same time. Interesting. Yeah, Tom Cruise and Eddie Murphy. Interesting. Yeah, I guess so, a little bit. 2 eyes, Cyclops, but I don't have a lot. Bitcoins is still your best investment. Yeah, Bitcoins, I just feel like that was too spendy for me. Hello, Tractor King. Oh, all right. Shall I look at the news? Do I want to look at the news? No, I'd rather just not do anything. But talk about nothingness. That's kind of would be better. How do you spend your day? I do look at social media a couple times. Well, I can get sucked into social media, but the thing about social media is everybody has their own, like, the way it works is everybody has their own thing, right? So like what I'm looking at is completely different than what my neighbor might be looking at if we're both looking at Twitter or looking at Facebook or looking at some social media account. Oh, Misanthropy says it's not just about control. More surveillance, furthering to push a social credit system, a cashless society, normalization of surveillance, training people to be obedient dogs, testing for flaws in the system for when they continue to further their agenda, etc. Well, you have 2 commas. I like your Sarah comma. That's a good one. Which grade would you give my English? We'll capitalize the word English and then put a question mark, not 2 commas. Make me laugh. It's hard for me to make people laugh because I have no sense of humor. I never said property destruction was okay. I said peaceful protest is okay. I said property destruction is wrong. I'm not in favor of property destruction at all. I believe property destruction should be persecuted and people have to pay recompense. When they were burning down the Wendy's, I wasn't talking about the burning down of Wendy's. I think that's wrong. I totally was not referring to burning any buildings if I said sometimes you have to get your message out. I was talking about someone who was speaking who wasn't necessarily the arsonist. Do I like comedy movies? Sometimes I do. But I definitely, I want to say right now, for the record, I'm completely against property destruction. I think peaceful protesting, that's one thing, but property destruction, I'm not in favor of that in any way, shape, or form. Why won't it let me search? Hello, Vinny. How are you? Will I go live in the Capitol Hill ongoing protests? No, I will not. You're tolerable so far. Good. Thank you, 203. I'm sorry if I had some misinterpretation. You know what? I will say this. Yes, Black Lives Matter, but yes, also all lives matter. What do we need? Police reform, yes. Education reform, yes. I'll leave it at that. Okay, Misanthropy believes the current state of the police force is a huge flaw in the system. There are cops that will stand up for your rights and refuse to play along with the silly new rules during this scandemic. Exactly. Flick Tolly says, how about indigenous lives? And in fact, one of the interesting things is I came across an article that said tribes were promised a certain amount of money in the coronavirus, the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Relief Act, and they haven't received any of that money. You got the orders. Wait, you just follow orders 538? You don't question? I mean, I would think if you're going to be a protester, you would question what you're doing and have a reason for doing it. It says not any more than 538 over an iBlog just wrote, we're taking over the Portland police station tonight, just got the orders. Who's ordering you? One, I have a lot of questions. Who's ordering you? Why would you follow somebody else's orders? What do you hope to accomplish? And I will tell you also that I believe in police reform, and I believe in the there's a website that has really good police reform research and the methods of police reform that we need. Look at a ramen guy. Sorry, Flicktolly.
And please.
You don't make the orders, you just follow them. Why? I think that you need to start thinking for yourself, and you need to say, is this order really going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? Is it a fair order? Is it a just order? And that goes for anyone who's following any orders. And in fact, that's actually like goes along with the international law. I mean, the Hague and the criminal court, it's like you can't be a soldier and just say, use the excuse, I was just following orders. No, if you do something that is immoral and irreprehensible and illegal on at least on an international law, then you are held accountable, not the person who gave you the order. Yeah. Misanthropy says what they want is to replace cops that care about freedom with useful idiots that play along with what they are told. And that's actually the case as well with some of the protesters. Not saying that the protesters are idiots, but I'm saying that what I'm saying is that whatever role you play in life, you need to question and understand what your role is and why you believe what you believe. Jack says, look, people still are refusing to address the fact in just about all these situations the suspect was resisting arrest. Yeah, people that think smashing things will lead to reform, that won't lead to reform. Yeah, this one, I need to bookmark this. I believe in the things that are promoted by Campaign Zero or Join Campaign Zero. Well, I definitely don't believe in that, Mama King, that you shouldn't go to prison just for typing in a chat room. I believe in freedom of speech, and I even believe in you saying things with which I disagree. Wow, 203. Well, how does racism exist today? That's a good question. We have to look at how people were raised, what they believe in, and we have to start with ourselves and looking at our own beliefs and what our parents taught us and what we were taught in school. I disagree with you, Dr. Meow. Well, I disagree with that, with what David says too, 538. I think I don't believe in that either. True, misanthropy. People destroying police stations and police vehicles, and they're destroying property that taxpayer dollars paid for, and then will increase taxes to pay for them rather than charge the people who caused the damage. Okay, I understand not liking people running for office. And some people say, well, that's okay. I don't pay taxes, so I'm not paying for those damaged vehicles, or it doesn't bother me. I'm not paying taxes, but I'll be the first one to use the services. I agree. 4422 says it goes like this. You like some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. And I think it starts with it was more like you can please some of the people some of the time, and you can even please all the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. Xenu has said none of the people destroying property pay taxes. I would not doubt it. But I'm sure they use their services. Some of them probably collect food stamps, or send their kids to public schools, or drive on the roads, or call the cops if there's a problem, or call the fire department if there's a fire. Dr. Meow says beliefs remain a state of dementia. You add cute pixels, they artifact in your mind so the picture looks prettier. 442 says that's why there will never be a new world order, because you can't please or like all the people all the time, or please all the people all the time. It's a fool. Wow. And Jack heard it as you can fool some of the people some of the time. It's interesting how it's all the same, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So some have it as fooling people, some as mine is like pleasing people, and others is that liking people. Oh, so true. I probably think with my emotions at least some of the time. But I prefer to think with my logical reasoning. Same thing, different words. Once they used to applaud every day at 8 p.m. or 7:30. Now that COVID is under control, relatively, yeah, I would say definitely that word relatively comes to mind because cases are spiking again. We tear gas everybody. It's been 2 years of protest. We have no tears left. No, I've never seen that event in Seattle, Benny. I probably would steer clear of it. Oh, you are the New World Order in Portland, 538? What are you hoping to achieve? New World Order. Yeah, what is your end game? What's your point? I think I just killed a mosquito. Oh, you just follow orders, so you have no idea about what the New World Order really wants. You're just willing to be a puppet. That's kind of sad. That's really sad. Who are you talking about, Final Dream? Oh, the mosquito. This mosquito's blood is now on my hands. Oh. Sarah, with our country being in the middle of a pandemic, I don't think it was too smart to have record-setting mass gatherings in our nation's history. I really don't control David, Vinny, so he can do whatever he wants with anything that he wants. Oh, no. That's not right. So this is that Join Campaign Zero site I told you about. And so they've done some pretty thorough research on police violence and the things that help with police violence. They say more than 1,000 people are killed by police every year in America. Nearly 60% of victims did not have a gun or were involved in activities that should not require police intervention, such as harmless quality of life behaviors or mental health crises. Quality of life behaviors? I wonder what they mean by that. 2015 was no different, so that was the police killed nearly 100 people on average each month in 2015. Police in England, Germany, Australia, Japan, and even cities like Buffalo, New York, and Richmond, California demonstrate that public safety can be ensured without killing civilians. By implementing the right policy changes, we can end police killings and other forms of police violence in the United States. It's not going to say, I think we might not end it completely. Let's look at their solutions. So a comprehensive package of urgent policy solutions informed by data, research, and human rights principles can change the way police serve our communities. Integrating recommendations from communities, research organizations, and the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, these policies aim to protect and preserve life. End the broken windows policing, institute community oversight, limit the use of force, independently investigate and prosecute, have community representation, have body cams and film the police, have training, end for-profit policing, and I'd say definitely we need to end for-profit prisons, demilitarization, and fair police union contracts. So with the broken windows policy, a decades-long focus on policing minor crimes and activities, a practice called broken windows policing, has led to the criminalization and over-policing of communities of color and excessive force in otherwise harmless situations. In 2014, police killed at least 287 people who were involved in minor offenses and harmless activities like sleeping in parks, possessing drugs, looking suspicious, or having a mental health crisis. These activities are often symptoms of underlying issues of drug addiction, homelessness, and mental illness, which should be treated by healthcare professionals and social workers rather than by the police. Wouldn't the police like to not be called out for these offenses? So the police policy solutions proposed are end policing of minor broken window offenses. The following activities do not threaten public safety. They're often used to police. If we decriminalize these activities or at least deprioritize their enforcement: consumption of alcohol on the streets, marijuana possession, disorderly conduct, trespassing, loitering, disturbing the peace, like loud music, spitting, jaywalking, bicycling on the police, or bicycling on the sidewalk. All of those should be like, is it really something you need to call the police about? End profiling and the stop and frisk. Establish enforceable protections against profiling to prevent police from intervening in civilian lives for no reason other than the suspicion of the color of their skin or other aspects of their identity. Have the right for people to seek court orders to stop police departments from profiling. Institute bans on both intentional profiling and practices that have disparate impact on protected groups. Ban stops for furtive movements such as reaching for a waistband or acting nervous. Ban stops for being in a high crime area. Ban stops for matching a generalized description of a suspect, like there was a black male aged 15 to 25. Require officers to establish an objective justification for making a stop and to report every stop, including location, race, gender, whether force was used, and whether a firearm was found. And the use of predictive policing technology, which uses systematically biased data to enhance police profiling of black people and communities. Prohibit police departments.
To enhance police profiling?
They're saying to end this. End police
right.
profiling.
Okay,
Prohibit
good.
police departments from using resources to investigate, interrogate, detain, detect, report, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes. prohibit police departments from transferring an individual to federal immigration authorities. Those we can all discuss
Later. Yeah.
separately. Prohibit officers from being placed under the supervision of federal agencies or deputized as special federal officers for special federal deputies.
Oh, I would just say the opposite.
I would say that is a different issue.
Well, I would say the opposite. I mean, a federal oversight over this is necessary. They're saying prohibit federal authority over this. That's the opposite of what we need. We need federal authority over mistakes that are being conducted. Plus, check to see if there's any sensitivity training at all.
Okay.
And also, if they have a shoot-to-kill policy still.
This is proposed solutions.
Yeah, well, I'm proposing a shoot-to-maim policy and police sensitivity training.
Yes.
That's what I'm proposing.
Here's another proposed solution. Establish alternative approaches to mental health crises. Mental health crises should not be excuses for heavy-handed police interventions. They're best handled by mental health professionals. Establish and fund a mental health response teams to respond to crisis situations. These approaches have been proven to reduce police use of force in these situations by nearly 40%. It includes establishing a team of mental health professionals, social workers, and or crisis counselors to send as first responders to calls involving mental health crises. They have a CAHOOTS model that's implemented in Eugene, Oregon, and an involvement of this multidisciplinary team in planning, implementation, and response to crises, and at least 40 hours of crisis intervention training for police officers. Well, that's exactly what David was talking about, is training for police officers. This crisis intervention training, that would be good. To Cyclops is curious to know if in most cases of police killing, was it a citizen in panic calling at first? Yeah, like why, like what was the antecedent? What was the first thing that eventually led to the police killing? Yeah, I do wonder that too, Cyclops. (2944) calls the police as often as possible. Some people do not like change. That is true. Okay, thanks, Misanthropy. You're giving me long live the lock. Is this supposed to be like a play on Animal Farm? Or it just shows how Bengalitis preferred the lockdown. Okay, and you guys were chatting, so I'm gonna go back. Maybe, of course, it always like. Okay. There's a poll. Americans are the unhappiest they've been in 50 years. I do believe that. I totally believe that. Dr. Meow says, end police violence in the USA. What, you're going to ask the cops, please stop doing this. Pretty please don't sue me. I disagree with you completely, Tommy. Yeah, exactly. Joe Biden will not solve it all.
No. Joe put so many black people in prison with his policies back in the day. Joe Biden actually was notorious for putting people in prison who were black. And we actually have a clip we got from Insane Canadian last night that we played last night and the previous night, but it's of Joe Biden pretty much Yeah, you're not allowed to come in here and slander me in this show. Yeah, that's a hushable offense. Meaning you won't be able to come back to the show again.
Okay.
I'm going to come back. I'm finishing up dinner. I just wanted to touch down on this subject because it's such an important issue. Hey, anybody got ideas? Let's hear it, because we want to solve that problem.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
We really do.
Misanthropy does not like that there's more drunk drivers or more people out with the coronavirus lessening their restrictions, and he says there could be more drunk driver numbers reaching record highs soon. Dr. Meow says the original dark mirror Boston Dynamics Spot robot dog is up for sale for police dog usage, with the 200 horsepower motor version arm that can tear through metal and automatic weapons rack for $74,000. The real one also has armor plating. It's your time to use the Xbox, okay? Yeah, they might see it as some kind of investment. 74,000. They're like, do I pay a police officer or 2 police officers, or do I buy this robo dog? Will people be able to sue the robo-dog? They won't really be able to send it to prison, so saves me some legal fees, maybe. Oh, Dr. Meow has one that's called a Roscoe, fully programmable. It looks the same. It's less powerful, though, but it has fully open software for only $3,000. That's pretty interesting. I'm just gonna clear this chat over here and we'll start again. How about that? A man breaks into a bank for a hot pocket. What? On Facebook? I don't know. 538. Do you have a link to your video feed, 538? Otherwise, no video, no reel. You had a dream of the open water. You were swimming way out to sea, so deep you could never touch bottom. What a fool I used to be. All right. Omni Consumer Products was an American mega corporation based in Detroit. Okay, RoboCop fandom Wikipedia. Oh, there you go. Ah, nice. Very good. Fantastic, meow. Portland protests, 13 have been arrested after groups clashed with police on Sunday. A few days ago. Here was one at...
Well, demonstrations continue across Portland for the 18th straight night as the...
18 straight nights, wow. Of protests. Oh wait, I meant to send it the other way. So, alright, there we go. Oh my gosh, just look at all that. All that destruction. And the fires. I think in Seattle they like removed a lot of things that could be burned, but I'm not totally sure. You saw a Space Force recruitment commercial? Yeah. And here the police are still trying to do their jobs. Wow. Ugh. While they protest, we have to stay home. Ironic. You're tired of this narrative? Well, you could go join the no. I wouldn't join the protests. I like staying home. But whatever, that's just me. There's times when David's like wants to go shopping and I'm like, I just want to stay home. But then there's other times where I'm like, I do go out and go to school and go work in the garden and things like that. But anyway. Do you stay home except to buy food or things like that? Yeah. But then some people would say, oh, that's just another form of control. Oh, David has a whole lot of different things here. Yes, actually. And if you squat there for long enough and nobody bothers you, you can claim it. You can claim ownership because possession is something like possession is 9/10 of the law or something like that. David's hair is completely real, and no, he doesn't grow it out to comb it over like Trump. Even though there is a wig David possesses, he rarely wears it.
That's an effective use of a microwave and a stovetop simultaneously.
Okay.
Amazing how I can flip that out. I made a ginger chicken with cabbage and sweet potato.
Okay, thank you. Let me just close out of a couple of things. I'll leave that open. Okay. All right, I'm going to give the show to David. Enjoy, David.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you.
And I am using a little of that egg thing, but it's not like a big deal. I kind of like, what I do is I let it kind of go to the bottom and
Yeah,
it integrates.
that's fine.
I'm just trying, I don't want it to go to waste. Okay, we got a couple of IMs from, yeah, that's amazing. We saw Judy Mikovich explain why 50 million Americans may die this fall. About 17% of our entire population from just all the vaccines that have been distributed over the past 15 years by Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx. Well, she came in later, of course, but she was part of the VA's vaccination program for AIDS, which was a total failure. I will not allow you to tear down our Constitution. That is treasonous material in here. And I'm going to mute you for a while because you're not behaving properly. Yeah, that's treasonous to go against our Constitution. If you are trying to rip down our Constitution, I want you out of the show. Anybody trying to attack America, bye. I don't want you in here. Be seriously. Okay, I don't know what this is, but it's kind of funny. It's a Reddit piece. I'll stick it in my Flipboard under Reddit. I read it. Oh, he was? Okay. I'll unmute him then. Thank you. Sometimes I come in on the back end of a conversation and I sometimes miss my mark. So sorry about that, Dr. Meow. I didn't realize you were trying to destroy our Constitution and that was just a joke to you. It's the only thing we're holding on to right here, guys. Yeah, it's our life raft. It's just not exactly something I would toss under the bridge. So we're going to add that to the Reddit room. Yeah, absolutely. Anything Reddit is funny. I'm not sure what it means. Long live lockdown, the rhino, the turtle, the deer. Bats rule. Oh, I see. Keep humans locked up. Chimpanzee. In other words, the animals are roaming free while we stay huddled in our house like scared rabbits. Nice. Well, thanks for the apropos opinion. Appreciate it. Opinions are great. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Oh, it's still there. The established alternative approaches to mental health crisis. Okay. End broken windows policing. Oh, this is Campaign Zero. Sarah keeps talking about Campaign Zero. No, keep it simple. Zero. Campaign Zero is too complicated. Campaign America's Third Party, defund the police and less sensitivity training is what I propose. If you can say it one sentence, you can do it and you can save America. This also includes shoot to maim policies as opposed to shoot to kill. We're not going to release anybody from ban hell, Mama June. The name that you settled on is the one that you're going to have to live with until you get banned again. David, I went to a hotel, ate their breakfast, and lastly went into their pool. I have 2 weeks to see if it was a smart idea or not. Oh, so you actually took a break from your house, enjoyed the COVID nonsense separateness, right? Non-social distancing. Yeah, that's great. Good for you. Good for you. So we do have a good quality copy of Barack Obama's birth certificate from Mombasa, Kenya. I appreciate that, Scissor Fight, because we only have a couple copies of this, so it's always good to get a new crisp copy. It could be a different one too. There's a lot of them out there that may be original, so I'm willing to prosecute Barack Obama on his birth certificate issue, unlike Trump. So if you're one of those Republicans that would like to still see that happen because you're tired of Barack Obama living in his crack house in Martha's Vineyard, smoking crack, and you don't want to, a former president to be such a failure like Obama was and get away with it. If you're one of those people that thinks that Trump is too mamby-pamby on this issue, consider me. I'm the real deal. I'm the guy who really, really ran as the birther president for about 8 years during that time period. Actually, 12 years. So far, I'm still the only guy out there trying to get restitution. Obama Rama. But I have a picture of Obama recently that is very troublesome. You know how we talked about Donald Trump being on controlled medication because of his dilated pupils? Well, I went to Obama 2020 and it doesn't look good, guys. It looks like he's taking some severe drugs or something. He's younger than me, right? I'm not sure what's going on, but I worry about him, as one human worries about another human being. Well, let's be clear. If Barack Obama is addicted to crack cocaine, like he was back at Occidental College, we're assuming that his eyes and behavior is indicative of that. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a guy who's aging really fast. He doesn't look good. He looks kind of pallid and weak. And it's like, doesn't seem to have that, well, let's just say he doesn't seem like he's looking really healthy. I worry about it. If you maim, the pain can last for years. No, you're overthinking this thing, saying that it's going to lead to opiates that lead to suicide. No. Shoot to maim actually is the only honest thing to do. Look, they shot this man in the back, and 2 times. 2 of those 3 shots were in the back, and it's sad. It really is. They shoot to maim in Israel? Really? Is that why they killed 61 innocent Palestinian children in one day? How could you say that? How could you possibly say that? In lieu of all the deaths the Jews have pushed upon the Palestinian people. Rayshard Brooks was a nice man. He was a family man. 27 years old. Does anybody know if he had a record? Yeah, I know he was out drinking a couple drinks. We could tell he had a 0.1 alcohol. By the way, you could get that with 2 or 3 beers, in case you didn't know. We knew he was out looking for some food for his family, and he was going to go shopping for his child. See, that's the attitude I don't agree with, Catflix. It's almost like our police have been taught by the Israelis in some sort of a thing called killology. And I don't see any of that in Donald Trump's writing or his efforts to rewrite this whole thing. The killology thing seems to be front row center. So Rayshard Brooks was a decent man. That's all I can get. He wasn't like he was a career criminal like George Floyd professed to be. So his whole life has been destroyed. He's now dead. He can't talk. So dead man can't talk. We can't ask him, hey, why did you jump the cop and grab his stun gun? What was going on in your life that would make you make a disorderly conduct kind of thing? Well, he was drinking. And when a person's drinking, that's what happens. They make rash decisions on impulse. Everyone knows that this is exactly what happens. So if Rayshard had lived, would have been great. But instead, he grabbed the taser, turns it on the cop who's chasing him, who tried to hit the taser already with him. Was he tased? I don't know. Okay. And then turns his back, gets a shot, then turns his back, and then they shoot him twice again. Now that first shot would have taken him down. And he would have been within a safe distance, and they had his license plate, his driver's license anyway. He would have had a perfectly normal life even after that first shot, except for his jail sentence. For, trying to escape apprehension. But I think what you have to ask yourself is, how can we sit back and not change our policy, which Donald Trump is not doing? He's not changing our policy. He's just saying he's going to be transparent, saying he's going to be on top of this. I don't think so. So without any real substantive change, like defunding the police and less sensitivity training, Donald Trump's talk is just blah, blah, blah. Like a pipe dream. A man who forcibly, or said that police should show a little more force when putting somebody in a police car, is now somehow the purveyor of sensitivity. No, I don't think so. Okay, let's move on to the next question of the day, which they've reached a deal. CHOP, the organization that hijacked Seattle and is forming their own little police style or non-police style community. They reached a deal with CHOP to remove temporary roadblocks and replace with concrete barriers. What they don't know is those concrete barriers are actually FEMA coffins. Yes, that will hold 4 people in them. Is that a great idea? Well, you said concrete barriers, so, you know, surely there are some, right? Actually, most concrete barriers are in the ground. So it's kind of hard to get a FEMA coffin over there. Yeah, I don't think they make above ground FEMA coffins. You know what they could do is they could get one of these like batches of FEMA coffins from CDC and just stack them up really high. And that would be a nice barrier. Wouldn't that be great? You like that? They hold 4 people in these FEMA coffins. They provide a very strong barrier, even standing on their own. Seriously, do you really want the autonomous zone to be their own little biosphere? I would like to see like an organization come in and kind of clean it up, maybe shellac the artwork, like the ones that say bad things about piggies, you know, and then make it like a living art piece and call it Peaceland. What a great name, Peaceland. Who wouldn't want to live in Peaceland? So I'm going to suggest Peaceland as the center of the 6 square blocks, and it would be kind of a cool hangout for people. It would be like kind of like the Experience Music Project morphed into another name. Yeah, Peaceland. So I'm writing that down, and I'm going to go check and see if I can get peaceland.com. Hold on, please. One moment, please. Let's see if it's taken. Okay, Scamdemic 2. No. Thank you. I don't know how that happened. Cops are saying anyone causing trouble will end up sleeping with it. Not wanting to fear-mongering, but keep that you can can of necessities in case that not just the U.S., but the world monetary system implodes. Thank you. We had a message from 4Q4. Yeah, now that you didn't get any response from Donald Trump stopping the deep state, now you come in asking about everyone keeping a can of food. Why don't you Q-tards just go back to the wherever hole you crawled out from? Because you seriously are out to lunch. I've been telling people to get, all kinds of provisions for years, and now you're saying everyone should have a can of necessities in case the world monetary system implodes. You think? What is wrong with you Q-tards? Are you like really slow at figuring out conspiracy theories and you have to be told by somebody pretending to be John F. Kennedy Jr. that, oh yeah, the earth is flat too, sure. Peaceland.me is available. Wow, Peaceland Me, Peaceland Store, Peaceland, but Peaceland.com is taken. Huh. Yeah. Well, they can still call it Peaceland and negotiate the contract with their website in case they wanted to, get updates. Hi, welcome to Peaceland. If you want to come into one of our many health food stores, remember, we don't take food, we take trade. So you will be requested to have or perform sexual favors for your fruit or vegetables. Hi, welcome to Peaceland. You're not allowed any weapons except an AR-15, which you're allowed to hold outside of your body here in the state of Seattle. The state of Seattle. The state of insanity. All right. You don't have to take the advice. It's not advice, Q. When are you going to apologize to me for being a Q-tard? When are you going to come into my show and say, Dave, you were right the whole time. Trump is never going to stop the deep state. When I see that, that's when I'll believe you. You still keep thinking he's stopping the deep state. That's what really freaks me out about you people. 3 years, he can't prosecute Obama on the fraud with the birth certificate we can see from Mombasa? You want to forget about the birther issue, you Q-tards do? Sure. Go right ahead. Forget about the fact that we have an authentic birth certificate from the district of Mombasa in Zanzibar from 1961, his birth date. Oh yeah, just forget about that. He doesn't want to, prosecute that. And he doesn't want to go after Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. He doesn't want to go after the Haitian money. Oh yeah, but Trump's going to stop the deep state. Oh yeah, he's really working on it. What are you smoking? Because it's not good weed. If it was good weed, you'd realize I'm right and you're wrong. Exactly. Thank you, Misanthropy. You stated the truth. Dave, Trump is never going to stop the deep state. Exactly. He is the deep state. That's the truth. Thank you. Microsoft wrote to Trump threatening to move their headquarters to Moscow. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, in a way, Moscow is ahead of the game, You'll have to excuse me. I had a little accident with my razor yesterday, and I re-injured myself. Yeah. It's under control, but yeah, it's got a little salve there. I've been holding on to it. Yeah, I keep re-injuring the same cut. Sucks. I'm yellow hair, really? In Bengalitis, I think every woman you find will be an extraordinary experience for you sexually. When you have the great sex, you never want anything better or worse. Once you've had great sex, you really have to understand life is not about sex. Yeah, Trump won't even call out Soros. Exactly, Ivan. He won't even say George Soros. George Soros is behind Antifa, everyone. Well, if you haven't had great sex, you'll never really know what I'm talking about. But once you have great sex, you'll never want any more or less. You will know that you achieved something fantastic in life. Because remember, according to Aldous Huxley, we will be getting rid of the human orgasm. It'll be phased out. Yeah, so enjoy it while it lasts. You notice many of you are no longer masturbating anymore. Yeah, it's because your libido is being suppressed by the VMAT2 gene vaccine. They created it at the Pentagon about 15 years ago. They're trying to nullify your senses, sterilize you. I mean, it's just terrible what's happening. If I could explain why they put medical waste in chemtrails, I'd be glad to give you a whole dissertation on it, but I can't explain why they do that. Why would they put medical waste in the actual chemtrails they're dumping in the sky? The answer is that they don't have any place else to stick it, and they feel that by diluting it, dilution is the solution to pollution. That's how stupid our government is, and that's how this country has been parked in the no-go zone for the past 60 years. Actually, I'm going to say 50 years. Since the Clean Air Act of 1970, we have literally been parked in nowhere land for 50 years. No major advances against pesticides or herbicides. No questions solved by our CDC regarding the dangers of vaccines, which have been numerous and enumerated by various people like the Vaxxed organization, which sued the CDC and forced the CDC to say that they cannot prove that vaccines do not cause autism. Now, why kids are more autistic today? We have to assume many people have been autistic. We haven't really identified them for years. I would say people like Trump, I would say was probably autistic.
But my husband is real. He's raw. But my husband is real. He's raw.
No, your husband's autistic. He has a hard time reading. He may even be dyslexic. He takes his cues from an earbud like he did today. And he kind of like gets into this mood where he like wiggles around like he's the herky-jerky man. And Trump talks as if he's got pearls of wisdom to say. Watch how he kind of wriggles like a meth head, jiving on a fix. Look at this.
Stoking of fear and division. We need to bring law enforcement and communities closer together, not to drive them apart. Under the executive order I'm signing today, we will prioritize federal grants from the Department of Justice to police departments that seek independent credentialing, certifying that they meet high standards, and in fact, in certain cases, the highest standard. That's where they do the best, on the use of force and de-escalation training. For example, many believe that proper training might have prevented the tragic deaths of Antoine Rose and Botham Jean.
Who? Okay, what does he mean by proper training? Because he's not suggesting that people have a shoot to maim order. That's not in his plan. There's no shoot to maim order, only the same old shoot to kill order, which we've killed 1,000 people a year because of this. Now, why would we continue doing the same thing over again and expect different results? That's the definition of insanity, according to Einstein, right? He's trying to look trustworthy. He's kind of wriggling in his I don't know what it is, some sort of an exotic high. I wouldn't doubt it's some sort of a cocktail he's on. But his eyes are dilated usually. That's why he's in the sun. They're putting him in the sun because normally his eyes are so big that it looks like he's high on something.
As part of this new credentialing process, chokeholds will be banned, except if an officer's life is at risk. And I will say we've dealt with all of the various departments, and everybody said it's time.
Well, I agree with him on that. Chokeholds should be banned. Flat out. I said that myself. So that would be included in this whole plan. I agree with that. Okay, good. It's time. But dilated eyes. Yeah, it's Betty Davis eyes. These eyes adore you, though they never really. I don't have the, yeah. Trump. Trump says oh, here's an interesting little tidbit. I don't have the dilation of the eyes story anymore. It's lost in history, but it might be in Trump Sucks. I'll check that in a bit. Trump says he turned out the way he did because he couldn't do any wrong in his mother's eyes. This is a very telling thing. Now, I'm not Catherine Horney, who created the theory in psychology called vagina envy. But this is one of the indications of vagina envy. It usually comes from being coddled as a child by his mother, and then loving his mother so much that he wanted to be his mother. And vagina envy is indicative of a behavior. One of the classic examples of vagina envy is wanting to decorate everything with your name. Yeah, putting Trump on everything, Trump branding, Trump hotel, Trump casino. That's the significant indication that he has vagina envy, a serious mental disorder related to his mother. So isn't that interesting? Let's get back to his drug addiction later, okay? I'll look for that. He's a Gemini. Okay, well, you know, in all deference to Donald Trump, it wouldn't be the first time a president would be high on Adderall or drugs like this. Yeah, so we never drug tested Barack Obama, and we know he was higher than a kite most of the time on crack. So, Donald, if you're listening, I don't care if you're taking Adderall. It doesn't matter to me. Okay? Really. What we need to do is continue with that line of discussion. I'm not okay with chokeholds in general, but if they're trying to defend their life, yes, I'm okay with chokeholds. So I would agree with Donald on the chokeholds. We agree on that point. But I want to see it so when people hold a gun on somebody, or rather when a perpetrator holds a gun on a cop, it is a life-risking situation, and they very likely could kill the cop. So the cop has the right to blow that person away, right through their head, a bullet through their head. That's exactly the policy they have today. I'm okay with that. But where my shoot to maim comes in, and this is what would have saved so many people's lives who are on the killedbypolice.net site. Yeah, check it out. It's amazing. 1,000 people a year are dying from cops. Half of them are unarmed. So when anybody reaches into their pocket, that they consider that you're reaching for a deadly weapon and they could kill you under current policy. That is not a time to kill somebody. That's a time to maim somebody, okay? That's my big distinction. It's not a big switch from our current policy. It's just a real simple thing, folks. If they're going for something that you don't know what it is, shoot to maim. And nobody's willing to give my idea a chance? I mean, this would save so many lives across our country from killed by cops. You notice I'm not framing this about black versus white because that's just a false paradigm. That's being promoted by the media. Fox is pushing they're pushing the left-right paradigm as well as the black-white paradigm. So is CNN. We're trying to get out of that mode. So I really don't think that a lot of this is motivated by hatred for African Americans at this time, or hatred toward white people at this time. But what's happening right now is a series of outbursts in riots and people protesting on a daily basis in cities like Atlanta. This is live, multi-camera from Eugene, Oregon, Seattle, Louisville, Denver, Portland. This is the pulse of America we're looking at right now. So you're looking at a kind of an ongoing riot that never ends. And this is going to become the new normal in America if Donald Trump doesn't exert some effort to stop the illegal rioting behavior. Now, frankly, I'm okay with people walking around. And frankly, I'm okay with people protesting. I am. But if we see any more looting or damage to police vehicles, we have to retaliate with the strength and firmness of justice. If we don't, the entire society crumbles. And Donald Trump hasn't stepped up to do that. He hasn't sent the National Guard into key areas like Portland. We need to move on Portland right now. Portland is veritably, you walk down Portland streets and it's like the herd of walking dead walking along. The only difference is right now they've got snack food. But they say that people in our country is 9 meals away from total chaos. I'm serious. And there's a problem with our food cycle. Final Dream was talking about it earlier. Our food system is being held back. Well, they just dumped 54,000 pounds of beef over a little bit of E. coli. Does that sound like an intelligent thing to do? Throw perfectly good beef away with a little bit of E. coli when all you have to do is steam the meat and make stewed meat? I would have automatically made stewed meat or stewed beef out of all of that. You kill any E. coli that's in it. So what do? They throw the meat in the garbage with plastic waste. I mean, you couldn't be more brainless and run a country and look like Donald Trump if you tried. And Donald, you're looking wonderful. I want to say your haircut looks wonderful. I don't have any anger toward Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is hopelessly greedy as a person. And like many people who suffer from extreme greed, he can't help it. I mean, it's like he cannot control his greed addiction. And I know that this is common in many countries with people who think that they can get away with this stuff.
I got a bunch of money, too.
Oh, I like money. Yeah. I like money, though. I like money. I like money.
I like money.
Can't believe you like money, too.
729 with location emergency. 125 University. Okay, 125 University Southwest. Is it at the Wendy's? Yes, ma'am. All right, you need police, fire, ambulance out here. The police. Okay, tell me what's going on. I have a car. I think he's intoxicated. He's in the middle of my drive-thru. I tried to wake him up, but he's parked dead in the middle of the drive-thru, so I don't know what's wrong with him. Is he breathing now? Do you know? Yeah, he woke up, looked at me, and I was like, you got to move out of the drive-thru because people can't. They're going around him. He's in the middle of the... Just right there. All right. Tell me what kind of car he's in. So they're trying to go around him. What's the color of it? And I asked him to pull over. You know, if he not had too much to drink, to pull over and go to sleep. He said they said he went right back after I walked him in. What kind of car is it? It's a white car. He just sitting there. You can't miss me one more. Is he black? Is he black? Why is his face? Yeah. He black. Okay, in a white sedan in the middle of the drive-thru. No, let me see what kind of car. It's right here. He's right here. The car's going around him. Okay. All right. Does he appear to have any weapons, ma'am? Ma'am? Does he appear to have any weapons from where you can see him? No. I think he's intoxicated. All right. All right. Give me a name and callback number. No, I think he's intoxicated. All right, give me your name and callback number. Ma'am. Does he appear to have any weapons from where you can see him? No. Does he appear to have any weapons, ma'am? Ma'am.
What was that sound? What the hell was that sound? That sounded like a gunshot, didn't it? 2 gunshots in the background. I mean, am I the only one who thinks that was gunshots in the background? Huh. I'm beginning to wonder if the police weren't already there when she made this call. The lockdown was a definite cause of a lot of the people now going around protesting misanthropy. It did force a lot of people into wanting to violate their social distancing law. Remember, whenever you exert a law on somebody, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction, much like Newton's second law of physics. As a UK Berkeley professor and a person of color, I refuse to serve the Democratic Party and at BLM, and so should you. Wow. Okay, thank you. I'd like to listen to this guy. Well, I heard some gunfire in the back. I'm not going to make a big issue of it. I mean, I guess I'm the only guy who heard the 2 gunshots in the background. But maybe that's a normal thing in Atlanta. Oh, yeah, that was just a day in the life of Atlanta. I don't know. It did seem like they racially profiled the guy when she asked, well, is he black? Well, who cares? He's a guy sleeping in the parking lot. Why are you asking if he's black, lady? As a UC Berkeley professor and a person of color, I refuse to serve the Democratic Party and #BLM, and so should you. This anonymous letter was allegedly sent to several history professors at the UC Berkeley. Its authenticity has been confirmed by one of the professors mentioning it, Kentucky State University Assistant Professor of Political Science, Wilfred Riley, who says he was sent a copy of the letter along with Stanford University economist Thomas Sowell. The Department of History at the UC Berkeley has denounced it and said it has no evidence that it was written by a history faculty. Okay. Dear Professor XYZ, I'm one of your colleagues at the University of California, Berkeley. I have met you both personally, but do not know you closely, and I'm contacting you anonymously with apologies. I'm worried that writing this email publicly might lead to me losing my job, and likely all future jobs in my field. In your recent departmental emails, you mentioned our pledge to diversity, but I'm increasingly alarmed by the absence of diversity of opinion on the topic of the recent protests in our community response to them. In the extended links and resources you provided, I could not find a single instance of substantial counter-argument or alternative narrative to explain the underrepresentation of black individuals in academia or their overrepresentation in the criminal justice system. The explanation provided in your documentation to the near exclusion of all others is univariate. The problems of the black community are caused by whites, or when whites are not physically present, by the infiltration of white supremacy and white systemic racism into American brains, souls, and institutions. My cogent objections to this thesis have been raised by sober voices, including from within the black community itself, such as Thomas Sowell and Wilfred Riley. These people are not racists or Uncle Toms. They are intelligent scholars who reject a narrative that strips black people of agency and systematically externalizes the problems of the black community onto outsiders, like Black Lives Matter does. Their view is entirely absent from the department and UCB-wide communiques. The claim that the difficulties the black community faces are entirely casually explained by exogenous factors in the form of white systemic racism, white supremacy, and other forms of white discrimination remains a problematic hypothesis that should be vigorously challenged by historians. Instead, it is being treated as an axiomatic and actionable truth without serious consideration of its profound flaws or its worrying implication of total black impotence. This hypothesis is transforming our institution and our culture without any space for dissent outside of the lightly policed narrow discourse. A counter-narrative exists, and if you have time, please consider examining some of the documents I attached at the end of this email. Overwhelmingly, the reasoning provided by Black Lives Matter and the allies is either primarily anecdotal, as the case with the bulk of Ta-Nehisi Coates' undeniably moving article or is transparently motivated. In an example of the latter problem, consider the proportion of black incarcerated Americans. This proportion is often used to characterize the criminal justice system as anti-black. However, if you use the precise same methodology, we would have to conclude that the criminal justice system is even more anti-male than it is anti-black. Would we characterize criminal justice as a systemically misandrist conspiracy against more anti-male than it is anti-black? Would we characterize criminal justice as a systemically misandrist conspiracy against innocent American men? I hope you see that this type of reasoning is flawed and requires a significant suspension of our rational faculties. Black people are not incarcerated at higher rates than their involvement in violent crime would predict. This fact has been demonstrated multiple times across multiple jurisdictions in multiple countries, and yet I see my department uncritically reproducing a narrative that diminishes black agency in favor of a white-centric explanation that appeals to the department's apparent desire to shoulder the white man's burden and to promote a narrative of white guilt. I like this guy. And you know, these historians, African-American historians who've studied this problem know that this has got to be discussed. And the idea that white people are to blame is crazy. It's being introduced as a way of fomenting racial hostility in America. David, this guy's exploring Chaz Zone Live. Okay, let's check it out. Well, let me tell you, that was very moving, and I'm glad that person wrote that letter. Be it anonymous, whatever. I'm just glad it's been done. We needed to get that out there. The narrative is being a slam dunk that our country is facing a dangerous virus without any controversial discussions, without any peer reviews. The narrative is that we are all suffering from a case of terrible wrong to the black people, which is generating more hostility. These narratives are being orchestrated by a propaganda tool that's not even allowing our top historians to discuss. We're not learning from history. We're allowing people who are demagogues like Trump to frame the narrative. Telling people he's going to shoot when they loot was very provocative. That was inciting a riot. And that kicked this whole thing off. Let's not forget who's been standing around behind the scenes not doing a thing to stop this rioting in America. So if you really want to stop Donald Trump and Joe Biden, you've got to think about a third party. We are right in the center of the political spectrum, and we offer all of the protections you Americans deserve. We Americans deserve. Okay, let's go there. Live exploring Chop and Chaz from the zone itself. We're going to go into the zone right now. We still got some light.
They just off the freeway. Oh wow, did they already made it to the freeway? Yeah, I was late because I was setting up all this stuff so that the two cameras could be on the same rig. Is my YouTube at 1,000 yet? I don't think so. I think we're at like 700 or 800, so 200 more people to go. You guys, this is so much nicer. I've got, yeah, they're both mounted on like these car mounts on this like DSLR steady camera rig. So I've got these two handles I'm holding. I missed the action. Did they already, really? They already went down there? They were really prompt today, if that's the case. What time is it? 7:40? Someone was saying that they already hopped onto the freeway today.
How can this be live if it's 7:40 on his clock and it's 8:11 where I am? I don't know. I don't buy the live thing here. It sounds like it's deceptive. It's ended 4 minutes ago. Okay, that was a show that was on 4 minutes ago. It's not live. He missed the action, Jackson. Let's go to, no, we don't want to listen to him again. Yeah, we'll go to one of our other live links here. We had a couple last night. I don't think there's any feeds from Portland right now. So that was very good. The Atlanta caller shooting didn't see a weapon. Yeah, he didn't have a weapon. There was no weapon in his possession. He was just drunk. He seemed like, to me, like a guy who's got 4 kids, working too hard, caring for his family. I don't know what he does, but he didn't seem like a guy who would, you know, reach for a weapon and try to take it away from him. So what predicted that? Well, he was drunk. He was disorderly. Drunk and disorderly. A big man, very strong. But did he deserve to be shot in the back twice? No. No, those cops should go to jail. And there should be a new plan to shoot to maim. I'm solid on this issue. I don't think I could ever be swayed from my position on shoot to maim because it's the only way to stop this. It's not a big modification to the way we handle the police affairs as well. There's everybody who's dealing with a cop has a cop camera now, and they're taking pictures, and we'll see if a person has a gun and aims it at somebody. So if a man's grabbing a gun and reaching for it and then going like that with it, you can kill him. But if he's putting his hand in his pocket, no, you cannot kill him. Until you see a gun, you cannot shoot to kill. You can shoot to maim, and this could have been done many times in many situations. I remember one guy held a woman hostage out in Fresno, California. He had a gun to her head, and the police came in, and they didn't shoot him right off the bat because even though his gun was down, they should have shot him right there to maim. They didn't take that shoot to maim shot. Consequently, he got the gun back on her and he ended up killing her. And then he was shot to kill. And then they killed him. But she died because of it. Because they didn't take that shoot to maim shot early enough. Happens a lot. No, I'm not an expert on the subject. No, I have no history in police or military. I just grew up with a Marine, my father. And I understand, you have to assert a little bit of authority when necessary to nip it in the bud, basically. If you can't, if Donald Trump doesn't nip this in the bud, we will have anarchy and martial law soon. If he continues acting like he's on drugs or something, sure. You're going to see violence against a poor woman. She's been blurred out in the picture. Let me see if I can enlarge this so you can get a better picture of it. You're going to see a guy walk right up to what appears to be a woman, very weak and frail. And literally, well, you'll see it. This is 8 seconds of violence against an innocent person. Yeah, now we don't know who this person is, and there's almost impossible to see who this person is, but if any of you know a person who has these colored pants, dressed like this, if this outfit looks familiar, that's as close as we can get to an actual ID. But you should call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS. All right. He has been arrested? Oh, good to know. Thank you. Thank you, T. Tommy. Then don't bother calling because he's been arrested. Don't let anyone with fruity pants and kind of a V-neck shirt who's African American, don't call up anybody anymore. He got taken in. So forget what I just said. I don't want people harassed who are African American right now. Okay, or ever for that matter. And she shouldn't have made him punch her. She didn't do anything, man. Nah, she was just walking down with her walker. She had her basket. Oh, it's just tragic. She probably broke her hip. She probably won't even live from that hit. So again, we cannot play the video about Dr. Judy Mikovits, but we'll play it at the end of our show because YouTube bans me from playing anything with her in it. Yeah, she's the doctor who explained that 50 million Americans may die this fall from contaminated vaccines that they've been getting for the past 15 years. So yeah, I'm so sorry to have to tell you that, but a top level microbiologist investigating the vaccine purity. She was then attacked by Dr. Fauci. He seized all of her material and research material. He claimed that she did something with material illegally when she didn't. He forced her to have a gag order for 5 years. She couldn't talk about it. And then finally, Robert F. Kennedy found her and got her to speak. And now she's kind of running the circuit of talk shows, talking to people and sharing her ideas. And I'm glad she is. But we've heard from other experts like Dolores J. Cahill from Ireland, who is the top microbiologist and immunologist, who says that face masks don't work and that this is not an airborne organism. The coronavirus is not airborne. So experts are saying all this face mask stuff is a terrible, terrible mistake, and that we should just get back to normal. Yet Donald Trump still cannot say the words, "Okay, everyone, back to normal." He's still bound by Dr. Fauci pulling him. Yeah. The suspect, 31-year-old Rashid Bramaj, is charged with assault. He has more than 100 prior arrests. Wow. Unbelievable. This guy's been getting out every time. Now, if we've got a situation where a guy's out of 100 prior arrests and he does this all the time to people on the street, this is our police force not doing their job. An old woman could have hit herself on that fire hydrant too and died. If she had been like 1 foot farther, she would have hit the fire hydrant. See that? She probably did hit the fire hydrant. 92-year-old woman walking down the streets of Manhattan caused her to strike her head on a fire hydrant. So she did hit her head on the fire hydrant. Oh. And this guy's had over 100 different arrests. Something is wrong with our system, folks. And catering to Black Lives Matter is not going to stop situations like this. Okay? Seriously. Here's a link. You guys can check it out. Ron, if you're there, over at DLive, here, check this out, man. You're welcome. Now, Ron's out. I think Ron's a lot of rebooting going on. DLive's been kept out of our show for some time. We got problems in River City. Real talk. Wow. This is as close as you're going to get to actually staying in the show, America's Fourth. Wow, you're doing great. Modifying your behavior. I see that. Yeah, Crush My Whatever is out to lunch, too. This guy needs to be reported.
I believe that President Trump is engaged.
Let's take a look at this, Chris Wallace.
Engaged in the most direct, sustained assault on freedom of the press in our history. Now, let's talk about the president. He has done everything he can to undercut the media, to try to delegitimize us. And I think his purpose is clear: to raise doubts when we report critically about him and his administration that we can be trusted. Back in 2017, he tweeted something that said far more about him than it did about us. Quote, "The fake news media is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people." After that statement, retired Admiral Bill McRaven, a Navy SEAL for 37 years, the man in charge of the missions that captured Saddam Hussein and that took down Osama bin Laden, Bill McRaven said this, quote, "This sentiment may be the greatest threat to democracy in my lifetime." Now, I gotta say, I was a little surprised by that. Remember, this is a guy who fought the Soviet Union. This is an admiral who fought Islamic terrorism. But when I asked Bill about this was his response. Those threats, the Soviets, Islamic terrorism, those threats brought us together. Both the president and I swore an oath to the Constitution. And the First Amendment to that Constitution is freedom of the press. When the president says the media is the enemy of the people, to me that undermines the Constitution. So I do think it is a tremendous threat to our democracy.
I would agree. And, you know, ironically, it definitely takes me back to JFK's Secret Society speech, where he really wanted the media to be more involved in exposing the cabal that he found working within the cracks of America's government, in the dark shadows of America's government. John F. Kennedy discovered this cabal, and he asked the media to be more alert and aware of it. We never really listened to his Secret Society speech long enough to actually retool our media to prepare for what's happening. A president who not only is undermining the credibility of journalism, even alternative journalism like we do on our show, but all journalism. and turning people into mindless zombies who say that everything's fake news, or worse, a conspiracy theory. Ironically, Donald Trump did both. He created these bizarre conspiracy theories that he's been promoting, that the Russians never ever did anything to affect the election. He thinks that. He thinks that Ukraine somehow influenced the election when it didn't. And he introduced this idea of this bizarre conspiracy theory thing. That will knock somebody out of an argument. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. The other thing is, oh, you're all talking about fake news. Everything in the media is fake news. So by not allowing us to filter what's true and not, like Walter Lippmann wrote, that the key to a good democracy is an informed populace. And he was a very strong critic and supporter of our government. And he believed that we need an informed populace. And I think JFK was talking about that in the Secret Society speech too. And I think what Chris Wallace just said is very, very apropos. I'm not removing the theory that we need more information. Trump is. He's the guy that says everything's fake news. I don't. I disbelieve a lot of things the mainstream media says, no question about it, but that's all about the discord. I mean, there's going to be true things and fake things. There's going to be lots of things we ourselves have to filter through. And we're not going to be able to do that by just blanketly calling everything fake news or a conspiracy theory. Okay, Sarah's going to come in now. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Battery is worse than assault. I'll say that. You posted this link a bunch. David did not play it.
With all the gang violence going.
Okay, I'll play it in just a moment. I have it open for David. And Walmart looks to remove all cashiers from stores. Walmart's going to go for... I think they should do that slowly, as, you know, if they have more and more people choose to go through self-checkout, then they could always have like one cashier on hand for people, but, or a couple cashiers on hand. Oh, I definitely hope not. Yes, I have heard that they're trying to do gardening in that Capitol Hill area. All right, I'll pull out a couple of these videos over here, and then I'll pause the recording, and then I'll play the videos for people, and then we can continue talking. All right, one moment.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Sponheim, returning to the show. Big hard cut there from the time Sarah was in and now, but it's because we do sometimes show some pretty outrageous things that YouTube doesn't like. And YouTube's made it very clear they don't want to talk about certain things. And that's why a lot of people believe that YouTube is the fake news. Yeah, and I wish they would stop censoring so that we'd let us decide what the fake news is, you know? I know many of us want to know the answers about 9/11, why no one was ever arrested. Not one person was arrested for the death of nearly 3,000 people. A lot of us would still like to know who killed John F. Kennedy, and we're wondering why Trump is holding back information that he got over 2 years ago regarding Lee Harvey Oswald working for the CIA. We want the truth. The American people have a hunger for the truth. That's why National Enquirer sells so well. Inquiring minds need to know, right? They wouldn't sell that paper all the time if people didn't really want it. So now people are going through gutted out grocery stores to try to pick up some food, all thanks to Donald Trump and his desire to tell people, you loot, we shoot. What a reckless thing to say that kicked off these riots, and then his friend George Soros gives him all the money he needs. That's right, George Soros is a big money bags. He gives Donald Trump money and Donald Trump protects him. So in essence, Donald Trump is protecting Antifa and encouraging it to continue the rioting and the brick throwing. They even backed Acme Bricks. They won't even investigate. We know Acme Bricks was behind all the brick loads in every city in America. Breaking. Members of Parliament of Brazil break into a hospital that claimed to have 5,000 infected and 200 deaths from COVID and caught them red-handed, not one person. They frauded the world, everybody, and Brazil and the president of Brazil, my hats off to you, sir. You are doing such a great job, I can't tell you. Let's play this. They found hospitals empty.
Cheguei, Coronel! Eu vou entrar! Você sabe? Que vai agora! Cadê o armário? Vem comigo! Quem não quer deixar eu entrar no hospital? Vem cá! Entra comigo aqui! Entra comigo! Agora eu vou entrar! Vem segurando! Jesus, deixa ninguém chegar perto de mim! Ninguém! E se chegar, tomo todo o procedimento que vou caminhar para a delegacia! Se ficar aqui, eu vou caminhar para a delegacia! Mete o pé! Ouviu? Vai cair para a delegacia! Você não precisa abrir o portão! Não precisa abrir o portão! Você está fazendo sacanagem! É o quê? Aqui é privado? Aqui é ladrão, rapaz! Só tem bandido aqui, rapaz! Campo privado, isso aqui é obra pública! É dinheiro do povo! É dinheiro do povo, rapaz! É dinheiro do povo! E me barra pra você ver! Me barra pra você ver! Quem é isso aí, cara? Se não é privado, esquece. Ninguém fala nada.
Nobody there. Look at this.
Vamos lá. Essa é por isso que não queria deixar eu entrar, gente. Ó, isso aqui é pra inaugurar hoje. Olha isso aqui. Não tem nada pronto. Uma covardia da população. Ladrão, governador safado. Ladrão, empresariados. Você é corrupta. Por isso que não queriam deixar o deputado entrar. Isso aqui era para estar sendo inaugurado desde o dia 13 de abril. Olha o estado disso aqui. Olha isso aqui. Aqui, botaram para entrar. Eu tiro aqui. Cara. Não, calma aí. Ninguém me respeitou. Ninguém me respeitou. Como que deixaram entrar? Agora vamos começar o show. Bora. O senhor pode entrar, segurança não. O senhor pode entrar, segurança. Então cala a boca, não fala comigo. Cala a boca, pô. Então vem cá falar comigo, pô. Vem cá falar comigo. Vai correr. Ninguém me responde, seu merda. Você é um ladrão.
Nobody's there.
Bandido. Tem que ser preso. Ladrão tem que ser preso. Ainda mais roubando dinheiro da saúde. Porque quando rouba dinheiro da saúde, não estão roubando só dinheiro, não. Estão roubando vidas. As pessoas não estão tendo o direito de lutar pela sua vida porque não tem um hospital pronto. Ainda fica a opção de baba-ovo ali, dependendo do governador. Quem defende bandido é bandido como tal. É bandido como governador.
You know, to summate, the hospital was empty. They claim that these people are dying of COVID-19 and they've been outed. And the Brazilian government, the president of Brazil, is actually trying to alarm the people to this New World Order takeover. He is saying that there are no people there. They're lying about how many people are in there. I'm basically listening to his phonetic and body language. You can understand languages through the gusto of their statements. If you have studied the Romance language, you understand that a lot of it's conveyed through emotion. So anyway, I don't want to get into the details of what he said, but if anyone is from Brazil and could like to translate that, that'd be great. Yeah, the Brazilian president wants his people to have guns, and rightfully so, because he's trying to help his people guard against a New World Order takeover. Let's not forget that Flight 447 grounded outside of Brazil that carried what was 30 plus top secret inner cabinet member Secret Service people from the Brazilian government. And to this day, if you go searching Flight 447 and look it up, you won't find a single thing on that story. Now, I read the news and I have a memory, and I can tell you that was one of the big stories, is that over 32 people, I believe, from the Brazilians' top secret services guarding their president was taken down in Flight 447. And they spent $50 million to dredge that wreckage up from the bottom of the ocean. They found out that, from the flight recorder, that for some reason the captain decided to go in the back room, and then the flight goes like that. Now that's a classic case of what could have been a sign to Brazil to bide your time. Do what the New World Order says, or we'll take care of you. You see? And Brazil has got a really great concept of building their own energy supply. And being they have lots of ethanol they use, it's a very integrated renewable energy source in that country, specifically because they literally built it around that. So you think Ebola is coming back? Soul Child, what makes you think this? Did you see this in a vision or something? Yeah, you're in a, it's a big cult and you're not in it. I know. George Carlin. You would say you're looting or damaging your property, you'll be shot with a tranquilizer dart and wait. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, good to know. No, they had every right to go in and find that nobody was in there. Have you, guest 654, have you actually gone to hashtag Film Your Hospital on Twitter? If you go to hashtag Film Your Hospital on Twitter, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me take you there. I'm just going to go in there randomly right now because I can do that on the internet. I have the ability. Well, let's be clear. And we could just go down randomly and see what's going on. Here's a story about, is COVID-19 a crisis or a farce? Review the aggregate death statistics using official CDC data and share. All COVID-19 specifics are relevant. Okay. Heart attacks are coded as COVID-19. Yeah. So anybody who has a heart attack during this time period are coded as COVID-19. So that there is a lot of the padded statistics right there. Because other deaths, yeah, cancer dead are coded not as COVID-19. Pneumonia is coded as COVID-19. COPD is coded as COVID-19. The number of that matters is that which you never see, total deaths. Substantially higher with COVID-19 crisis. Not substantially higher with the COVID-19 farce. When you pull those statistics apart. Total U.S. deaths from all causes, January to April, by year. Okay. Not significantly higher. Look at that. 2020 is not very high at all. Just slightly higher. Equivalent to 2018. Look at that. And we went into this with a pretty mild flu season. Well, there you have it, folks. U.S. population, relative deaths, not a big deal. No big deal. Yeah, really. Under the same guidelines, George Floyd's death should be attributed to COVID-19. The problem is George Floyd didn't die. There's no proof that he's actually was in an open coffin. Not one person took a picture of an open casket. For all we know, it was a medical dummy, like I showed you in the picture with no legs. And the head was clearly bald on the dummy and not on George Floyd. So there's classic characteristics of this that look like a false flag. This is a Masonic theater. The people behind this are pushing a New World Order message. And that is Masons literally hire these false flag people to do this, like Christine Lenoinen. We even see that she's been used again in this case as a second grade teacher, I believe. Yeah, she was apparently George Floyd's second grade teacher, Christine Lenoinen, came out of the woodwork and posed as the supposed second grade teacher of George Floyd. Yeah, we played this the other night. I don't want to bring it up, but It's pretty serious when they have posers like Christine Lenoinen doing the work, and we all know what she did. The Pulse nightclub shooting. He got a haircut in the cop car, right? They were standing by with a razor, and they said, hey, we're going to put you in the car and give you a haircut really fine on your scalp, smooth you down, apply a little emollients, then we're going to take you under the car's tire and put our knee on your neck and allegedly kill you. Sure. Like that really happened. Are you calling my hair color peach or my face or something? Are you making fun of Caucasian people? Are you calling me names? You know I protect your right to call me names. I protect freedom of speech here. Oh, you can call me, thanks, man. You can call me, whatever. You can call me Christine Lenoinen. I don't care. I don't care what you call me. Call me Whitey. I don't care. You see, I'm not against your freedom of speech. I'm not going to tell black people they're going to go to jail if they call me Whitey. I'm not. Just like you can't tell anybody else who calls somebody else a name, they're going to jail. We have freedom of speech in this country. That's what we are founded on. That's why we left the control of England. That's why my ancestors started this great nation. Yes, I am related to the first ancestors that built this country from the ship right after the Mayflower. But if you don't understand that what this country is predicated on, freedom of speech, the right to freely pursue your religion, whatever it is, I don't care if you're pursuing your faith in Allah. I'm not going to take that away from you. My family never owned slaves. No, they were in the New England area. My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather actually settled, he was the first person to map the entire East Coast. Yeah, I'm related to one of the first people out there that did the work that built this great nation in the 13 colonies. I'm related to that early group. But I'm not going to brag. But I have that strong feeling that we need to keep that principle and don't be like the racist hate crime legislation that they're creating in England. That's why we left England. But Christine Lenoinen is on record as having been a woman who's looking for a job, basically. She did whatever she could to find work, and she got this job as the Pulse nightclub mother of a young man. And we found that out early on in her efforts. Here she is in the early days.
Hi, I'd like to be on Wheel of Fortune. I think I'd be a great contestant because I'm a lot of fun and other people would enjoy watching me win or solve or try to solve all the puzzles.
Well, here's a puzzle for you, Christine. You started working as a crisis actress and you've made a lot of money doing it. We know that you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If you're locked in a non-disclosure agreement, you're never going to be able to tell us the truth unless you're under a grand jury. And we ask you specifically, were you told to be a certain person? And Christine would have to say the truth. She'd have to tell you that she was chosen as Christine Lenoinen and her sad, sad loss every time. 5 different false flags, including the second grade teacher of Floyd himself.
It takes about 5 minutes for a church bell to ring 49 times. I know this because last month, my son Christopher, his boyfriend Juan, and 47 others were murdered.
Okay, now take that.
You hung on to a drawing that George Floyd, who back then you called Perry, made along with an essay for 38 years, and you have it today with you. Can you show us this?
Yes, I can. Here's his drawing.
And tell us about this. What is this drawing, and what was your assignment?
Well, one of my favorite memories of Perry involves his report for Black History Month. Each day in the month of February, we studied a different famous Black American. And as a culmination to that study, I posed the question to my students, how will you impact the future? What will you do to make a difference? So in response, each student wrote a story or an essay called Future Famous Americans and described their aspirations.
And let me just read a portion of it for everybody in case they can't read it on the screen. So what George Floyd, again, who you at that time and his family called Perry, said was, when I grow up, I want to be a Supreme Court judge. When people say, Your Honor, he did rob the bank, I will say, be seated. And if he doesn't, I will tell the guard to take him out. Then I will beat my hammer on the desk.
So even at an early stage, even in George Floyd's memory, he was already violent in his assessment of what he would be as a Supreme Court justice. He would take these people out. You know, showing violence too, black violence. So why would they choose Christine Lenoinen to do this and give you her testimony? It makes no sense. Because she's a crisis actress and she signed a non-disclosure agreement and she's bound legally to do whatever the hell they tell her. Okay, that's why. Christine Lenoinen is a victim. She cannot help the serial crisis acting that she does. She cannot. She is forced to be a crisis actress the rest of her life. And I think we have to look at that as like a person in mental or social bondage. If she violates her non-disclosure agreement, Christine Lenoinen is going to jail. You believe that's Mikovich? Now, you're really confusing your conspiracy theories. So you're saying that Mikovich is, no. Mikovich is not Christine Lenoinen. That is one of the funniest things anyone's said so far this week, though. Yeah. I did not ban 8-Ball. Oh, 8-Ball can still be in here. Final doesn't want him in for some reason. Yeah, you're in social bondage too, for simply signing away your rights to your debt notes. A lot of you have already given up your entire life to your the monetary debt note. Yeah, you've already chosen, you know, the idea of having money is surrendering your rights, essentially. Well, you become a victim of greed. You spend all your time thinking about money. It's a piggish world and obsession. You know, Woodrow Wilson is on the cover of a $100,000 bill. And a $1 trillion bill has another image on it. There's the $1 trillion bill right there. Has a large pig on it. But no, that's not Christine Lenoinen. This woman's had a much harder life. She wasn't sitting there with her friend, her kitty cat. You can't possibly say that's the same person. How could you?
I live in Central Florida. I have 2 kittens called Mickey and Minnie.
How creative, Mickey and Minnie. And now you're comparing this crisis actress, Christina Lenoinen, to another woman with glasses and a nose. Well, you're really good at this, aren't you?
That is incredible. And they know this. You're saying that they know this.
Know this. Because those are the contaminant, those are the vaccine injured.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I play too much of that? I hope they don't kick me off YouTube for playing that. No, you can see the voice tones are different. You ate Panda Express today? Do you think the tired 2 entrees and 2 sides is going to really express itself here in a few minutes? So you're going to have like projectile vomiting of your Panda Express? They make pretty good food. I see people going in there all the time. 6 feet away, social distancing with masks on. Okay. Well, I guess a lot of people have decided not to think. So tonight's Truth Tuesday. We might as well just forget about thinking. It's one of those optional things you don't have to think about. Well, somebody said, hey, Dave, how do you stay so youthful? Well, one of the keys is, of course, my fruit enzyme spray with the Fountain of Youth water. which I harvest from a sacred spring. But the other way is simply stop thinking about things, you know? Just detach. You know, there is a perfect way of doing this, and I'm telling you from one human to another. Just live with, sojourn with nature. Become part of nature. Yeah, kind of go outside and hear the birds, and it is a great way to clean your brain of all this confusion. It really is. I recommend it. It's for me a meditation, just going outside and experiencing nature up until the 6 different jets flying in a diamond formation above my head at 500 feet crashed this massive 120 decibel sound over me and the beautiful birds and rabbits. And then I have to say to myself, okay, well, I better suspend my peace and love period and just kind of just fall into the category of, okay, just bear it kind of thing. And then I go back to living in a peaceful world after that. I knew I was moving near a jet Air Force base, Naval Jet Air Force Base. People say, hey, you knew you were moving over. I didn't know they were going to test all the planes that Boeing's producing, which means all 55 planes per year are flying over my house over and over again until they get it right. Pouring jet fuel. Basically, they use PFAS, which is a highly dangerous and carcinogenic flame retardant, on all the planes in not only my area, but 600 other bases around the country. So this is something I'm going to be remedying. The truth is, our government and the Navy and the Air Force, they don't give a shit about us, the people. If they did, they would never do that. That's a reality. So that's going to change if I were elected. I would not let them do this over my head. I would actually like to see an unmanned aerial vehicle university out here. I'd like to see some growth in my area, but not in the kind that puts us at risk with dangerous jets flying over their rust buckets that need flame retardant when they land. So, you know, you have to take the good or the bad, but nature is a great grounding tool. And if you ever go work in the garden, like today I planted some onions that I had prepped in my greenhouse, it just makes you feel a lot better. It kind of makes you feel like we're all here for a reason. But when you think about the way the government's been going and the way that it's letting our country fall to pieces, throwing away 54,000 pounds of hamburger because they found a little shit in one of the burger patties. No, I don't want you eating E. coli. No, but a simple plan to take that meat and recook it and steam it and put it in cans and make canned stewed meat would be a lot better than throwing it all in the toilet or out in the garbage, which is what they're doing. So if you're wondering why the prices of food are going up, because our government's pulled 54,000 pounds of ground beef, and this is, by the way, premium ground beef, grass-fed organic ground beef. They pulled it from the shelves just last week. 54,000 pounds of premium ground beef gone because they found a little bit of E. coli in one of them. Come on. This is a planned food shortage that they're putting into gear right now. And this is a planned anarchy that they're spreading in cities like Portland and Atlanta and Seattle. This is purposeful. And our president won't even investigate. There you have it. So when Chris Wallace was slamming on Donald Trump earlier, I was actually cheering him on because, in fact, Donald Trump has done really a lot to harm our ability to question things. Just like that alleged African-American historian who said, hey, how come they're not really asking the big questions about why there's so much black-on-black violence? How come they aren't letting historians talk about how this is being framed in the media? How come we're not taking our top knowledge experts and letting them talk? How come YouTube is stifling Judy Mikovits or any number of other experts when Bill Gates gets front row seat on YouTube anytime he wants and he doesn't even have a health degree? Why is that? Because they're planning something and it's not good. They're planning to hurt the American people. We're planning on depopulating us by injecting us with dangerous viruses.
300 cities in Italy will stop 5G.
Good.
Said no.
Great. So 300 cities have now said no to 5G in Italy.
And protests in Amsterdam,
Good.
California.
Good. Now, I would love to say no to 5G right now. I really would. But as you know, I'm pitching a kind of a bold plan to make 5G safe using Faraday shields. And make sure that if we do want connectivity, we take dangerous 5G transmitters and make sure that they lower their level of field radiation. And our government's not even looking into this. They don't even care. A dangerous 5G tower like this right here actually puts out a huge amount, like 5,000 levels on my EMF meter. But they say only 200 level numbers should come up on my EMF meter. And they're putting out 5,000. 5,000 is definitely dangerous and could cause cancer. So why don't we start thinking about this realistically? Unless they can come up with a standard for safety and we can retrofit these things for 5G safety, let's postpone any new production of 5G. Absolutely, I'm in favor of that. But I also am in favor of making sure that what we do have is not destroyed, but rather made safe. And this is something that we've done in the past with like toasters. Our government used to have a laboratory, a U.S. testing laboratory. We lost it around 2001. It was sold to a Swiss firm for a song. But we used to test everything. And like toasters, when they first came out, they started fires in kitchens. So they came up with a brand new technology, kind of like this I'm trying to do with this. They came up with solenoids to keep the toasters from blowing up. So, yeah, this is a meticulously planned anarchy, 615. What they want to do is slowly push the country to new normals that are very, very dangerous, where you won't be feeling safe driving through your city or even shopping in your stores. Then they'll roll out the 5G testing centers. In order to get into stores, you'll have to actually be COVID tested. Well, it's a very slippery slope once you're on that. Then you'll be COVID vaccinated, which means they'll give you cancer cells in your body, like Judy Mikovits is talking about. Trump has done horrible. He's not stepping up and setting up an executive order to stop the destruction of edifices around the country, which opens up the possibility that many edifices, any type of statue, could turn into a flashpoint for violence between Antifa forces and conservative patriot forces. Yeah, he's setting up for all these by not exerting strength right now, by not setting up an executive order saying you cannot do that or you'll face $500,000 fines and 5 years in jail. That would be a strong executive order. But he hasn't done anything like that. Yeah, so he's basically sitting back, watching it all materialize into anarchy. He didn't send the National Guard into any place except Washington, D.C., where they pulled the plug on the National Guard. And even Mark Esper says, no, you're not going to invoke the Insurrection Act for this, Mr. President. So he's already been denutted. He's been neutralized, castrated as a leader. He's become a complete sham, is what he is. He is absolutely useless. And they've got a puppet president like Trump because they want to let this thing turn into nonstop anarchy, the new normal. That's what they're doing. They want this to continue to degrade, people. That's why he won't investigate Acme Brick, controlled by Gates and Soros. That's why he won't look into all of the things like the agent provocateur. Remember him? The agent provocateur was a big fixture in our show a couple weeks ago. Sure, we talked about George Floyd and his friends, his family, even the guy that thought he was a twin of his because he looked so much like him, Stephen Jackson. We talked about all that. We don't need to go back there anymore. We know that Floyd was probably a put-on Masonic theater production when they can't even get a picture of his open casket. This guy, if he had a camera, would have taken a picture. We don't know what he's doing up there, holding a pipe. I'm not sure. Is he hitting some crack? Whatever he's doing, he could be taking a picture. But we don't have an open picture of anything in the open casket, which is very odd. So nothing on the internet at all, which shows you that they're hiding something. Then we showed you his bald head over and over again. This is, kind of repeat, but yeah, touching down on it. You can clearly see that the person on the floor, on the ground with his knee next to his neck, is a rubberized dummy because there's no hair on it. Clearly there's hair on the head of George Floyd as he's being, posing, wrestling with the cops a little bit right there. Yeah, see that? That's hair. That's a hairline of some sort. There's no hair on the guy on the ground there. That's completely smooth. So either they waxed his head down and gave him a good shave in the car when they drove him across the street, or they pulled out a medical dummy that does the job just fine. Yep. And that you can put your knee on for a couple days and it'll still be a medical dummy used for testing cardio care. Yeah, isn't that something? So, lots of suspicions about that. But when we look at the end result of what we have today, which is bad policing, we know that we need to defund the police in order to get sensitivity training. That's the whole point of defunding the police. It's not to not have policing. If a state or a federal government, or rather a municipal government, doesn't want to acknowledge a sensitivity training program and follow the rules, abide by the rules, they won't get any federal money. If their cities degrade into what we have today in Portland, Oregon, we will send in the National Guard. We're not going to lose our policing ability here, but we don't have that leadership from President Trump. He's afraid to send in anybody. I guarantee you Donald Trump will not send in the National Guard till it's too late, then he'll declare martial law. That's what he's angling for right now. It's a slow angling too. It's just slowly degrade our country, slowly.
Look at this.
I saw a woman going through a market. She was wandering through the devastation from one of the looting events, probably in Chicago.
Every grocery store looks like this. Every grocery store looks like this. Everything is either on the floor. Look at this. Can't even get no fucking food for my kids, G. Look at this. Came in the store to try to buy something because I'm not a thief. Look at this. In my hood, can't even get no food for my kids.
She can't even get any food for her kids. And Black Lives Matter did this to her community. You see what I mean about black on black violence and how Black Lives Matter does not address? This looting was partly due to Donald Trump's lack of guidance, lack of use of the LRAD system. I was shocked. They didn't use the LRAD system once in the past few weeks. They want these riots and these looting to go on. That's why they put Acme bricks out in front of every place they got hit hard. Norks Gangster says, everybody should go to a supermarket in the hood once in their lives. It's a truly an experience. You will say, wow. I think so. They're letting our inner cities turn into anarchy, turn into no food supplies. They want this violence to occur. They're not preparing for this. Donald Trump didn't make a phone call to Costco, the supervisor, central manager, and say, only sell one roll of toilet paper at a time, or only sell one bulk pack at a time. He never made any effort to do that. That would have stopped the huge run on toilet paper, which, by the way, I still understand there's shortages. Yeah. It's like that piece of butt wipe that, how dare you just said when he ate this General Chow's chicken, he had to admit the toilet paper really got smeared. And are you using that toilet paper efficiently with your General Chow's chicken on the way out? How many TP toilet paper pieces did you use on your last wipe? You want to share? This is the kind of chat we get in our chat room. Yeah, BLM should probably means burn, loot, murder, right? Exactly. Exactly. It's the burn, loot, murder group. Yeah, I heard the 2020 coin has a COVID-19 bat on it. I don't believe it's coincidence either, Vorpalbite. Yeah, we saw that. It's been allowed to happen, yeah. We pretty much all know what's going on. You know, remember they got this thing on the wall within a day? You got to wonder, and then we saw Barack Obama tweet about it a week earlier with the same face of George Floyd. He knew the whole thing was going to go down. Yeah, we played you that in another video we did, but we showed you George Floyd's picture on a tweet from the Obama campaign a week before George Floyd was killed. And for some reason, they did this entire art piece in one day. That's more like a Jalash That's more like something they print out and then put up with a heat gun and it goes right on there. They must have known in advance that he was going to, be killed. If indeed he was killed, because I seriously doubt it. How could we possibly believe he was killed when we still don't know why a medical dummy was down at the bottom underneath a guy's knee? And there's a lot of controversy about Chauvin. Nobody knows why he has 4 different faces. I'm doing a study of the facial comparisons of the different Chauvin booking photographs. Officer Chauvin doesn't match up. Now, I haven't yet produced the video yet, but I'm working on lining up their faces and checking the face recognition system that's online. As long as you get everything set even and you can compare faces, it does a very good job. But the faces of Officer Chauvin, his booking photographs, all are conflicting. You have a good synonym for BLM too? Bowel movement? But burn, loot, murder sounds like an appropriate heading, sure. Well, one guy said that Floyd died 3 years ago. This is from 2018, a video of an Edmonton cop in Canada using a knee on a guy's neck. I don't know. Somebody said he was part had something to do with Sandy Hook. The thing is, if you're in the Young Risk Takers, there's about 35 people in that gang. It's a Masonic gang, which is weird. We've met a few Masonic gang members in our show, and I'm not going to name names, but I just pulled his name off of my following list. I no longer follow a guy we've met. He was an overt Mason. And he kept talking about how great the Masons were, and we canceled his subscription to the Resurrection. Yeah, these people are being played by the Masons. They're being used to develop this theater of social distance, of social hatred, division, black versus white. They'll do anything to divide us. Here's an Edmonton police officer. This is racist too? Wow. Take a look.
Stop resisting, you get
Ooh, that's wrong. That's wrong. Man, that's wrong.
Stop resisting, you get
Oh, that's bad. So I believe this is a terrible use of police force. I don't believe in chokeholds, except, of course, if a cop is actually trying to stay alive and he's in a wrestling match. But with 2 against 1, you can't justify chokeholds. Only in a one-on-one situation, I would make that change in Donald Trump's assessment. When a cop is one-on-one with another person, yes, you can do a chokehold. Only in those circumstances, not when there's 2-on-1.
Stop resisting, you get
Okay, I don't need to see the same thing over and over again. But thank you. Global News says there's been an asteroid that nearly hit. They say there's going to be 4 or 5 asteroids that'll come close to Earth in the next couple of weeks. And of course, the Mayan calendar was reassessed with new numerical assessments, putting the end of the world now at June 21st, next week, 2020. So if we make it past June 21st, the show continues, we might have a chance at the presidency in 2020. Otherwise, all bets are off, and you might as well hope to get everything you can ready for a major disaster if this asteroid hits. A football field-sized asteroid just missed Earth. No one saw it coming. NASA runs a simulation involving Armageddon-style asteroid impact. Let's take a look. Oh, I can't. Okay. Let's give it a shot. Globalnews.ca has it. I can't see it. I'm sorry. I don't have ad blocker disabled. I'm not going to bother. I'll give it one more shot. Let me see if I can do this on an alternate channel. Control-Shift-N gets me my incognito page. I know it's not private. There we go. That worked. Incognito, if you go Control-Shift-N on Chrome, Incognito will bypass the blocker. Control-Shift-N. Loading ad. I don't want an ad. Yeah, I don't know if George Floyd was at Sandy Hook. I have yet to see any photographs of him over there. Bake like a man. Big lies matter. Okay, here it should come in a second.
Business Insider, NASA ran a terrifying simulation to see how it would prevent an asteroid from hitting the planet. Participants managed to deflect it, but knocked a chunk off that headed toward New York. The hypothetical asteroid was 165 to 260 feet wide and would have more energy than multiple nuclear bombs. In the simulation, the only way to remain safe is to evacuate New York. The point of the exercise was to practice for real asteroid impacts.
What a lousy clip. I mean, I was supposed to see something good there. And how did this transgender woman get all this positioning? You click Y, anytime you go into Y or YouTube, this transgender woman comes up, and I guess I can call her a woman. Yeah, it's like the weirdest thing. I can't play anything because it's all dark. Thank you for being with me tonight. Sorry I had to mute you earlier. It was one of those things. She must have a lot of money. That's the only way she could possibly do it. Transgenders with lots of money. Did you see all those transgender black people in New York? Man, there are like 1,000 of them. It's crazy. This dude needs his ass handed to him. Okay. Oh yeah, he already did get his ass handed to him. Yeah, you didn't see the World Hip Star. There's a World Hip Star video that is really, really good. Final, if you want to, help Scissor Fight out, you can post it again. World Hip Hop. Let me post it for you. I think I've got it in my history. World Hip Hop video did the full video. That guy got his ass kicked. Yeah, I'm not going to play it for the show. I played it last night. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. World Hip Hop is not coming up under my search. You'll find it anyway. Oh, I know, it's easy to be busy. We're a little bit ahead of you on this one. Yeah, we already saw the guy get he got cold cocked. This might be it. No, this is not it. Yeah, I don't have it. Anyway, bottom line is a bunch of black guys beat him up after he hit that white woman. It's true. Stop beating the dude, beating the woman, dude. It was really good about members of Parliament of Brazil broke into the hospital to claim to have 5,000 infected and 200 deaths. And we've seen such fakery in our own country with the Film Your Hospital videos we've seen. And this is from the Film Your Hospital video. But yeah, there's a lot of different, this is actually a click that Misanthropy gave me from Knitter. But yeah, people actually found nobody in the beds in Brazil. We showed this to you earlier. The complete fakery going on about COVID-19. I am in charge of America's Third Party. What do you need for it? What can I give you? Yeah, there it is. That's the whole video, right? Yep. Project Don't Play That. The Karma Hit is old. Yeah. He definitely got beat up at the end. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. World Star Hip Hop. Yeah, I don't like to play a lot of violent movies because I'm trying to move toward, minimizing the racial hostility going on right now. But that one in particular goes both ways. I mean, black guys said, no, you can't hit a white woman like that. And they beat the hell out of the guy. So let's try to steer this away from the narrative of, oh, the poor black people, or the other narrative, oh, black people are all hurting people who are white. Neither one of those narratives apply at any given time. You can apply them in your own mind, but in reality, we don't know what to expect in life. And if we generalize all the time, we're going to predict things like this happening. Candace Owens has been very, very verbal, being she's an African-American woman who has been vocal about not agreeing with the mainstream narrative about Black Lives Matter, that blacks are killing blacks. So there are lots of people, who are African-American who are saying the opposite of what the media is trying to paint out. Blacks are killing blacks. It's not a white versus black thing. It is very much more a black versus black thing. But let's take a look at this. Everyone who wants to think that this job is simple should watch this entire video. Let's watch it.
Do me a favor, come over here. Go place your hands behind your back. What? Stay. Place your hands. Stop resisting! I got it. Keep the taser on. Stop resisting! Fuck. Keep the taser on. Get on your back! On your back! On your back! All right. Get on your back! Fucking back!
Get on your back. They're rolling him onto his stomach. What do they say? They're telling him to get on his back, and they're rolling him onto his stomach.
My God! My God! Oh, goodness! All right, be quiet. Get the fuck on your back!
Thank you. That looks like a clean getaway. Wow, that was impressive. So what do you think? Something wrong with the way we're policing, right? You notice how close range those guys were to him when they were near him, and just like exactly like happened in Atlanta. When Rayshard Brooks turned around and grabbed him, he got the taser off of him. It's exactly the same thing. I'm amazed these guys didn't have the taser taken away from them. I'm not going to play it again. Watch it again on the repeat on YouTube. They should have asked him to handcuff himself. Good point, Venus de Milo. It's the proximity these guys are to the perps. Now, this guy probably didn't pass a field sobriety test, just like Rashad, but if you have a couple drinks in you, you have disorderly conduct, and Rashad just said, I don't know what's going on, and then he said, I don't want to be restrained, and then he just got pissed. You have very little impulse control when you're drinking, especially at 0.10 alcohol or above, and he was slightly above 0.10 alcohol. So Rashad actually was disorderly. That in and of itself means you got to stand back. They were too close. And Richard got a hold of his taser and turned it on him, and in exchange for firing one round of a non-lethal taser at the cop, he gets shot once, which would have been enough to stop Richard. He would have bled out and it slowed down. They could have gotten him a little later. But oh no, as soon as he turned his back and ran, they got him twice in the back, which is a homicide, murder too. That's what I think is going to be charged. I think the cop that shot him twice in the back will be charged with the homicide, murder too. That's what I think. Just like in the case of the people that are, being charged with George Floyd's death, second-degree homicide, murder. I'm not blaming it on Wendy's at all. I'm trying to blame it on bad policing and lack of police sensitivity. You're really into Grimes, huh? Wow. I just don't see what you find attractive about that 14-year-old girl that Elon Musk married, or his girlfriend, right? She's a girlfriend. I don't know. I mean, do you think she's 31 years old? Anyone who thinks that Grimes is 31, press 1 right now. Let me put a picture on the scene. Yeah, let's just take a picture of her. You tell me if she's... Here she is with Elon. They've known each other for a couple of years. I guess they have a kid together now, right? But do you think she's 31 years old? Anybody? Press 1 if you do. I'm not going to press 1. I think she's like 17 maybe. She looks like about 17 to me. Yeah, she looks 18 now, max. You can see it? Really? Makeup and all that stuff makes her look younger? No, that usually works the opposite. No. No. No likey. Okay, whatever. I'm not here to criticize his girlfriend. It's an old picture. Oh yeah, I've seen her recently. Let's take a look. This is a year ago. She's confirmed that she's pregnant. And she gave birth to AA12. Yeah. It was the weirdest thing. AA12 was born, and that night I was talking about the AA12, the most powerful shotgun in the world. And it was the weirdest thing. I mean, and then he names his kid AA12. I thought that was really weird. Does he watch our show, you think? I'm not here to rag on. I mean, if she can prove she's 31 years old with documentation, I won't charge Elon Musk with statutory rape. Okay? Is that a good deal? Yeah. All she has to do is prove with documentation she's 31 years old. It won't be hard. We'll give her a 1-2 look over the paperwork. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at statutory rape charges against Elon Musk. Is she even a citizen? Exactly. What about Ilhan Omar? She's not even a U.S. citizen, is she? Yeah, I think she looks 31. No, she looks 23 or 24 there, but not 31. No way. She's not a citizen? What country is she from? I didn't know she's from another country. Is she from South Africa? I did not know that. Well, tonight we'll be playing a little section of a little live performance from a young woman by the name of Alice Phoebe Liu. We'll be looking at her music. She's a South African woman who sings very unusual. And she's like, what, 25 now? Is that it? Does she look 25 here? There you go. This is a TED version of her singing. I think she's really an extraordinary voice, actually. We'll play some of her Alice Phoebe Liu. She's 25. She looks a little older than Grimes, in my opinion. You're getting banned? Why? Banned from what? You met Grimes, right, Misanthropy? You met her at the Trader Joe's in your area? You bumped into her? I have a good memory for this stuff. You told me you met her at what is it, a bar or something? I assume you didn't lie to me, right? Oh, you look younger than Grimes, really? And you're like 30, 35 or something? Okay, well, I'm glad this show's descended into nonsense. Tonight we'll be kicking off two really good stories that came from Scissor Fight tonight. One is Judge Joe Brown reveals the truth about Obama's family being very rich, and Lulu Sotoro being an Indonesian money launderer and enforcer with lots and lots of illegal money. This is a breakthrough story you'll hear at the top of the hour, and we're there now. I'll play that in just a bit. And then we'll do the whole Judy Mikovits thing, which we can't play on YouTube. You said you met someone that said hi and told me her name was Grimes and pranced away across the middle of the street. And did she look like Grimes? That's what I'm asking you, Miss Anthropy. Did it look like Grimes? Joe Brown knows some stuff. I should see his videos. Do you have a link to his channel? That'd be great, because all I have is a 153 link. I'd like to look at more of Joe Brown's stuff. He seems to know more about the cabal and how they controlled Barack Obama, and we need to know that. So she looked a little like Grimes. She always looks different. Okay. Well, I don't mean to denigrate her, but I'm sure she's perfectly a young-looking woman. I mean, she's amazingly youthful for 31 years old. Let me look. They did interview with him. Okay, if you find anything, broadcaster, I'll take your link. Oh, I know. Wichita, the center of the death of that man. The swatting shooting death. Yeah, that was serious. I'll bring that tonight to us as well. And that was a white man that was shot unnecessarily in Wichita. All he was doing is answering the front door, and some Top Gun cop from the Cop Show shot the man through the heart. I hope his family collects some money on that. That was back in 2017. It was a horrible thing. The Wichita police didn't even monitor whether the house was in the name of the person that was being swatted. They just went ahead to the location of the swatting address, kind of like they did it with me, and then just flat out knocked the doors down. But I was able to get out in front of the house and go face down in front of my house at the request of the police. This whole thing happened about 10 minutes in our show. It was resolved within 10 minutes, and I got back in the show and kept doing the show. But I was traumatized by the whole event, and the SWAT team didn't know what they were doing. It's completely disorganized, and to this day, they still have not filed a police report, which makes them legally liable for what happened. All right. We're going to sign off to take a look at other things going on. Isn't this special? Isabel Furman, the girl from Orphan, all grown up. Well, isn't that special? Yeah. Well, we're not really doing the Stars show tonight, but if we were, that would be a great... Maybe we'll do that Friday night, Make that our entertainment show. She played a 12-year-old in a horror movie called Orphans. Here's a picture of her, yeah. So somebody in their mid-20s can look like a 12-year-old. I absolutely believe that's possible, truly. But I'm not really here to paint Elon Musk out to be some sort of a weirdo with a 14-year-old girl. I think she's probably of age right now, I'm sure. Yeah, I will agree that she looks at least 18. Boy, what a nightmare our world is with Donald Trump as a president, Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that we've had him this long. We tried to impeach him, but he's still there. And he's doing very little to stop the terrible violence across the country. No effort to bring the National Guard in like he should have. So now what they're trying to do, this is the plan, is they're trying to let the violence foment into something worse so that then they can bring in the National Guard all at once and declare martial law, nullifying our Bill of Rights. That's what their plan is doing. Oh yeah, I met Luke Perry when he was 21. He was actually 21 when he played 90210. Yeah, I'll never forget that day that I met Luke Perry. He invited some friends of mine over to his apartment in Reseda. And I'll never forget that. Yeah, that's something else. And this is the way he looked when I met him. That was the Luke Perry I met. I'll never forget shaking his hand and going, "Hey man, thank you. Appreciate coming over and smoking a bowl of really good Northern California weed, man. Thank you." And he looked right at me, eye to eye, and I got that connection. I said, "Thank you, appreciate it." I never got a call. He never looked up my friendship or anything. But then gradually, the star of Riverdale became an old man rather quick, and very generous man. His family loved him very much, but something about drinking and drugs will take a guy down, and he died just 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, age 53. So I'm much older than he is, but it's just amazing how a hard life in Hollywood can take you down. I've known some people back in the day when I used to go to parties. The 90210 casts were there, like Luke Perry and Jason Priestley, and anyway, it was a long time ago, but I remember the party life was growing. They were going really hard back in their teens. They were really partying hard. I didn't partake in drugs, so. You're 57, but you have people tell you look in your 30s. Yeah, I'll take it back. I don't think Grimes is under 18, but she's definitely not 31. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for hanging in there. We're going to be back tomorrow. What do I mean by third party? Well, in America, we are centrists. We're right in the middle of the political spectrum. I'm a guy who supports our Bill of Rights really strongly. And I really believe that we can fix the environment. We can solve problems of homelessness, but we can't just do it with money. You're probably in a good place if you're an isolationist in British Columbia. You need to move to Alberta, and there's a small town up there that you can probably move to and you'll never meet anybody. Okay? Or Manitoba, man. Move up north. But we are in the center of the political spectrum. I'm appealing to both Democrats and Republicans. We stand for our freedoms and America's sovereignty, and we don't want to let the New World Order global governance take us down. That's what predicates this group is different than the two parties that are being manipulated by those people. Yeah, his son's a really popular wrestler, and he was very proud of his son. Yep. Jungle Boy. He does a really good job. Here's a clip from Luke Perry with his son, Jungle Boy. Hey, Jungle Boy.
Actor Luke Perry has died at the age of 52. Paramedics initially responded to a 911 call on February 27th about someone having a stroke at...
52 years old. Wow, that's just... I thought it was 53. Luke Perry. Yeah, his son is a famous wrestler. Alrighty, that's special. I couldn't get a picture of Jungle Boy in that clip. Oh, there's Jungle Boy. I'm sorry. Yep, here's Jungle Boy, his son. Now, it's interesting to note that when I met Luke Perry, he was a very frail man, very thin. And we used to say, hey, man, you know, he was kind of touted as being the young James Dean. At one point, they thought he looked a little like James Dean in his youth. But here his son is like a physical specimen of strength. And it's ironic because Luke was always struggling to bulk up and to build up his muscle. I even told him, I said, why don't you eat ice cream, you know, to build up your weight? Because he was having a hard time holding his weight down. I saw Luke Perry, and I knew that there was something not quite there. He was frail. I just could see that he was frail. And there's something about that when in a person, when they're frail, they succumb to the hardships of life, you know. They burn out instead of fade away, right? He had a cameo in the last Tarantino movie. Yeah, I know a lot of those people that he knew, and I don't know them anymore, but I've seen pictures of them, and they're all really old looking. It's like the life they lead in Hollywood just tears you down. It really does. And I didn't think this when I first heard about it, but when you're involved in drug addiction in Hollywood, like it's a common thing to see people doing coke everywhere.
But my husband is real. He's raw.
But the reality is, it'll tear you down quickly, more than anything else, cocaine. And then alcohol and cigarettes, and bye-bye. Your life is chopped in half. It's a dangerous spot, it is. And people shouldn't just discount the trip to Hollywood. It can destroy your life. It's a trap for people wanting to be an actor or an actress. That's when I was amazed to see Crystal Tini on Instagram doing so well in that role of being an independent actress. I couldn't get over how well she's holding it together, and she's into great health, eating right. She's not succumbing to the traditional Hollywood scene. Yeah, so a lot of things are different in life than what we expect. But when you get to Hollywood, you get sucked into this vortex that can really take you down. It's a dead city, it really is. It's so disgusting at the top. People are so evil, like Harvey Weinstein, that you can't even imagine the evil that you see in that city. And I'm sure that Corey Feldman is talking about the truth when he tried to expose, and still trying to expose, the criminal child abductions that are going on in that city. So yeah, we're going to get accountability from Hollywood one way or another. Can't be something that we can just take lightly. These people are embedded. They're deep in it. Okay, I'm going to say goodnight. Mr. Wright signing off. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I'll be in the show till 1 a.m. tonight. Take care.
My feet, my heart stops to